Gas masks and hand grenades. Gas masks and hand grenades. Gas masks and hand grenades. Gas masks and hand grenades.
Hey, what is happening, everybody? It is Gas Masks and Hand Grenades. I'm your host, Jeff. And look who I have here. I have the second longest tenured and the third longest tenured members of, I did my research.
Yeah, nice, man.
Members of November's Doom. Excuse me, Vito, please say your last name. Is it Marchese or
That's a very ethnic way to say it, but yes, it's Marchese, man. Very good.
I thought so. I was like, it ain't Marchese. I'm pretty sure that's not what it's going to be. And Larry Roberts. Guys, thank you so much for being here. We'll pretend we didn't already talk for 10 minutes. Good to see you, man. Good to get you in here. I've had your lead singer in here twice. As I said, I've abducted him 2 times.
Yeah.
We've had long conversations. Great guy. Paul's wonderful interview. And I had him on in September 19th, I think. Or no, it was early September 4th, to talk about this. This is your 12th full-length album. Yeah, right. Major Arcana.
Arcana, yeah.
I want to say Arcana. I don't know why, because Americana, but it's
I've heard people do both. I
say Cana.
Dude, we're from Chicago. We pronounce everything messed up. So don't listen to us. You say it however you want.
Major Arcana, which came out on Prophecy Productions September 19th.
Yes,
this year. So this is literally, we're a couple days away from this being out 3 months.
Yeah.
And how's the feedback on it? What's your feels on it? And, how you feeling about the album now this far on? And we're going to talk about, this is the first album from you guys in almost 6 years. Now, there was a little bit of something going on there for a couple of years. It was kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
With COVID. And, but that is, am I incorrect in saying that's the longest gap you've had
Yeah, it is. Yeah, even going all the way back, the first album, obviously that was before us, although I was around peripherally when that happened. But the first album came out in early 95, and then Sculptured Ivy came out in mid 99. So that was 4 years. I think that was previously the longest gap there was. So yeah, we beat that finally, but not by choice necessarily.
True. Right.
No, but I think it worked out well for us.
Yeah, I think we needed that break to kind of get back to our roots about songwriting and stuff and not getting burned out. And so I think it really helped on this one.
Yeah.
I was going to ask about that. That'd be a later question when we talk about songwriting and kind of mining some similar territory about how burnout can set in. But I guess what's your feedback so far? Like, what are you hearing? Because I will say this, as I said before we went live, I think this is the most catchy album you guys have done since Pale Heart.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you, I came in at Welcome to the Fate.
Okay.
That was where I came. So I've been around a while. Back to the end days.
Yeah.
And the band was quite a bit different from the first 2 albums in terms of stylistic sound and everything like that, right? So, because I'll never forget when I got Welcome to the Fate, I went backwards and grabbed, I guess, what is it, The Knowing?
Yes.
And
Sculptured Ivy.
Right.
And Amid, yeah.
And I was like, whoa, is this the same fucking band? Like, who is this? Like, it was a very different sort of sound, right? And The Knowing was where they started to make a transition. And that was, what was your first album? Was Welcome to the Fate your first album, Larry?
No, my first album, I joined in January of 99.
Oh, so you were there for a second then?
Well, they had finished recording the album. So I don't actually appear on the original. When we re-released it, we did some additional stuff and everything, and I am actually on the re-release of Sculptured Ivy. But any of like the promotional stuff, so like if you went back and you looked at magazine articles and pictures and stuff, I'm in most of the promotional stuff, but I'm not actually on the album. I was like the Rudy Sarzo of November's Doom at the time. It's like on, in the pictures, but didn't play on the album.
Nice.
But, no, my first album that I performed on and wrote for was The Knowing. And Vito's was Pale Haunt. Yeah.
My introduction to November's Doom was on The Knowing. I bought that at Beyond the Limit next to Rolling Stones Records.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then I
still love that album. I think that album's super cool. It's kind of a little unique. It's got a very proggy thing going on, but
big time. Yeah, Eric and I were really. I still am. I mean, I grew up on prog rock. That's like my roots is stuff from the 60s and 70s. It was all the prog stuff. So that was part of why I joined the band, was because I heard where they were going with Sculptured Ivy, and it was already headed in that direction. And then when they were talking about what they wanted to do, and I was like, I'm all in. If we're gonna, I never wanted, as much as I liked it, I never wanted to be in just like a sludge, ultra slow. I love that stuff, I do love it as a listener, but I didn't want to do that creatively. So what they were already like planning for with The Knowing, and then of course I added in my 2 cents. Yeah, there was a lot of there was a big jump there in terms of progressiveness, because it's where they wanted to go. And then, I mean, honestly, not giving myself too much credit, but it's just the truth that I was coming from a very progressive place. So that's why there's like a huge jump there when you get to The Knowing, where it's like, whoa, they got really progressive. It's like, well, yeah.
Well, okay. So you mentioned some of your roots influences, like what, and you said you're 53, so you're a couple years younger than me, but we probably have some very similar. What were you jamming back in those days? Are we talking like progressive rock of the 70s and progressive metal, like Fates and Watchtower and
both. I mean,
all that kind of shit.
Oh yeah, I mean, aside from, I always say that my favorite metal band of all time is Judas Priest, but the band that I probably have the most like open fanboy about ever since I was in high school is Voivod. I'm a Voivod fanatic.
Yes.
Did you get the book?
Which one?
Wagner's new book?
No, I didn't get Jeff's new one. No.
I'll pull it down in a minute here.
I love Jeff, man. Like, I don't know him personally. I know a lot of people through him, but I love everything he's written. Like, yeah, Jeff Wagner's one of those. He knows. Let me
grab it real quick. I hate to expose you to my white legs, but I'm white.
Yeah. Oh, careful there. But yeah, I mean, so Voivod was like a big one, but no, I mean, a lot of my influences were, I grew up on, I mean, when I was like 4 or 5 years old, oh yes, I got to get my hands on that.
Yeah, it just came out, I think about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, that will be mine.
Maybe I'll bring you on when I have Jeff on. I'm gonna.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, I'd love. Yeah, because I've always super respected him and everything I've read almost everything else he's done. But yeah, I mean, when I was like 5 years old, I was already listening to, because I had older relatives that were teenagers in the early 70s, and so they were turning me on to stuff before I was even in school. I heard Into the Crimson, in the Court of the Crimson King, when I was like 4.
Oh man. That's pretty heavy listening for a 4-year-old.
Absolutely. But, when you're that young, I mean, but then at the same time, I was listening to Kiss, and I was listening to Cheap Trick, and I was listening to, oldies. My parents were into Roy Orbison and, all that kind of stuff. So that's all. I've just been a big old mishmash since I was younger. Vito, you're kind of, obviously you come from a different time, but you're same way. Like, that was one of the reasons why we like gelled, was because
we like, I loved Roy Orbison. Larry's like, oh dude, that's like one of my favorite artists. So Larry's cool in my book, and we bonded over Rush.
Right.
And
my favorite band of all time.
Okay. Yeah.
Coming back, sort of.
They are.
And Metallica was another bonding band for us. That was.
Mm-hmm.
So those 2 or 3 bands were kind of like our core system. And then we have like these outliers that we kind of both like, but we're not maybe super into this style, but we kind of both respected and into it a little bit.
Right.
That's kind of our background,
It's an important thing for November's Doom. You can't really be like a narrow-minded person when it comes to music. Like, it's really important that you understand and know. You don't even have to love all of it, but you have to be aware of a lot of the different styles because it's all in there, man. You know, it really is. It may not sound like it. Somebody might not listen to Major Arcana and be like, oh, I hear all the Journey influences in it, but it's in there, man. I mean, it is really in there.
Rubbing, touching, squeezing. I hear that right there and Bleed Static.
No. But there are other songs. There ain't no love and touching, but there are other songs that if I sat down and I pointed it out, you'd be like, oh my God, are you serious? Like,
dude.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's, yeah.
Hey, Crazy White Boy 8358. What's going on, man? Hails from Baltimore. Hails from Chicago or on our end here.
Oh, we love Baltimore. We'll be there in May.
Yeah.
True, you're coming out to MDF, and I guess is there anything being planned around that because the New York shows kind of died in October?
Man, yeah, the New York shows. Yeah, we apologize to everybody about that. That was, sometimes best laid plans just end up not coming to fruition the way you wanted it to, and the problem with that, without getting into all of it, was that things just got away from us and from the promoters. There was a bunch of details that didn't get taken care of quickly enough. And if we're going to come out there and we're going to play, we're going to do it right. We want to make sure that everything is right. We want to make sure we can get there in time and have the right gear and have everything. Like, we're those days of just winging it are behind us. And after talking with them about it, it was decided like, you know what, it's as much as it sucks to cancel, it's better to put it off and let's really give ourselves time to do it right. So we're still working on that. It gets tricky this time of year because people are busy and it's holidays and everything, but I'm hoping that soon we will have something to tell everybody on the East Coast about New York. We're gonna try to get that. It's New York. It's tricky, man. It's like I wish we could just pick any date and be like, all right, we're gonna go out there in March. And it's like we go and talk to venues and we talk to
everybody's booked up
and there's like, yeah. So we're trying to really find like the right time and the right circumstances. If we're gonna come out in there and play for everybody, we're gonna do it right. And because even we had a lot of people with the last ones, they were just like, they found out about those shows so late because they got announced so late. And there was a lot of people that were like bummed because they were like, oh man, I'm not going to be able to make it. And we, like I said, once we realized this confluence of circumstances, we said, no, let's just put it off. We'll do it in 2026 and we'll do it right. And we're planning more for other territories too. We're going to try to get out. We're working on trying to get out west and do stuff there. There might be more stuff here in the Midwest. There might be Europe. There's a bunch of things that are genuinely, it's not bullshit. I wish I could give like the big scoop, but
that's cool.
We're still working on it.
You just brought it up, so I just kind of
it's cool.
But you're coming out for MDF. I think you're playing Thursday night, I believe.
Yeah, I think so. Yes. With Solitude Aeternis. Yeah, that's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, it's going to be one of the 2 nights I come down. I was there the last 2 years, all 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
Man, at 60, it's hard. By day 5, I was like, fuck me, man. Like,
I bet.
Every day, I stay with younger guys that were in their mid to late 40s, and I only live an hour away. But I stayed with my buddies that flew in from, one was in from Colorado, one was in from San Francisco. And by each day they'd get up, they'd be drinking most of the night, like I would too, and then they'd be getting up, and I'd be like, dudes, I can't fucking do 12 hours on my legs, man. I just can't do it. And so each day I was getting over there later and later and later.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, the old man's coming over. It's like, bro, you'll be there one day too. I want to see you guys in your mid 40s, like, suck it up and get over here at 59 like I am, man.
Well, our drummer Gary, I mean, he's in his late 30s, but he's still in his 30s, and the energy level that guy has compared to the rest of us is just incredible, But I keep telling him, I'm like, you just wait, wait, and you'll see what happens.
It happens, yeah. So, how the songs for this is kind of why, to some extent, why you guys are on here, because in talking with Paul, we get talking about the songs, and I want to get into it from a guitar player, writer, angle. And Paul's like, dude, you got to talk to Larry and Vito. I don't write the songs. I just write the lyrics,
Yeah.
the vocal melodies. They do the songwriting. So let's talk about that. So were many of these songs in the hopper or being worked on long before the album actually was tracked, or
Yeah.
and like talk a little bit about how this all came together when you finally were able to get in the studio and put it together.
When did we? I mean, we started writing a couple riffs here and there in like 2023, something like that.
I think even earlier than that. I think it was starting to percolate back in 2022. I actually was just going through files the other day, and I was looking at stuff because I was going, oh my gosh, like the really early stuff. Because a lot of times, even though, I mean, Vito and I were both here in the Chicago area, but I mean, it's Chicago, it's huge. So for me to drive to his house, I mean, it's like a good hour or so away.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So a lot of what we do in the initial stages before we get in the room together is we're like send files back and forth.
Okay.
Usually between he and I and Gary, the drummer, the three of us are kind of like the main trinity there with the music. And you started sending me files probably like around 2022, I'd say. I've got a couple of things that, and some of it didn't make the record, but some of it did. Some of it,
that, yeah.
Yeah, and it started this time around mostly with you. Vito was the one that kind of took the reins and was like, I got some ideas, I got some riffs. I didn't have shit for a long time, I'll be honest with you, man. I just was like,
it's, you know, it's funny because that's how we work. It's one of us all of a sudden has a bunch of ideas, and the other guy's like, "Oh, I don't have anything." 3 months later, wait a minute, I got a bunch of stuff now. So
yeah.
sometimes it just takes one of us to like initiate that spark, and then I was like, "Oh, I get it now. I'm on board." And then now it starts flowing, and then things come together after that. You know?
Yeah.
When you say sending your files, are we talking just riff ideas, like literally like riffing into a phone type thing?
Sometimes it's
fully realized demos. Like
sometimes it's not really too realized. Every now and then you might make something with like a drum machine if you have a really definitive like rhythmic idea going on there, but
which Gary just completely ignores,
which is fine. I mean, that's fine.
I mean,
drummers
silly to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, Gary, everything he comes up with is so fantastic. Anyway, we're happy with that. But yeah, I mean, I mean, for me, yeah, it's like on my phone. You know, I've got just videos of myself. Sometimes I'll literally just set it up to film me because I know I might forget some of the phrasing and how I was doing it, you know, especially with some of like the weirder stuff. Like I know I did that when I wrote Bleed Static because that was done in an alternate tuning than we normally do, and it had a lot of really weird hand positioning things going on in there. So I was like, I better film this because I'm just going to get mad at myself later trying to remember how I did. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, we still do it really raw dog, man. And then it gets into the room eventually with the three of us, and then we do start doing actual proper like pre-production style demos where you know, we record it more clearly, and
Gary will record his drums. He's got a whole mic'd up kit, so he'll record that. Larry and I will usually go back on top of that and re-record all the guitar parts to get a cleaner recording for the rest of the guys, and then it's off to them.
And then that's usually what Paul will work with, you know. That's
is this at your rehearsal space where he's got the drums? Okay.
Yeah.
And you have like a Pro Tools setup there, or a DAW, everything? Okay.
He's got Pro Tools or Reaper or something.
Yeah, he might be using Reaper. I don't know what Gary. Yeah, we've got a bunch of different. We're all using something different because we're assholes. Like that. It'd be nice if we were all doing the same thing. But yeah, so I mean, it ends up working out like that. Yeah, we've got some really good sounding demos, actually. I thought, especially this album, we're getting better at this as it goes on. I thought there's, you know, you got to be careful. It's an old cliche. I'm sure you've heard other people say it, but you got to be careful when you do the demos because sometimes you can never replicate.
Capture.
Yeah, sometimes there's solo things I did on our demos that I loved that I came up with, and then when I went to go do it in the studio, like it wasn't there, man. You know,
that suck, man. That fucking sucks, dude.
Yeah, but it's what happens. So much of this really is, again, I'm sure people think it's corny or the cliches you hear, but so much of this stuff can be lightning in the bottle, you know.
In the moment playing, the riff. Did you mentioned Bleed Static, and man, I gotta say, I think that's my favorite track. But here's the weird, but here's the fucking weird thing, and that's the prog track. It's got the big, proggy stuff that's going on. But what I found about this album, and I will say this, I do a year-end show on I'm doing a year-end show on January 3rd for album of the year. Nice. And it's a contender. It's in there for sure, man. I think what I like so much about it is it reminds me a lot of Pale Haunt, which I still feel is kind of your moment like that. And I think most November's Doom fans would go, yeah, that's the album. That's
I think we do too.
It's usually that or Photic, I think.
Yeah, Photic was a really good one.
Blood White's
good album, great album too.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys you're very consistent. You never put out a dog album where you're like, what the fuck was that? Like,
we try. Yeah, we try to avoid Cold Lake, we don't want to do a Cold Lake, but you never know. But
I don't even hate Cold Lake. It is
a weird album. There's kind of, it's like the ugly kid you can't help but love, It's
right.
That poor bastard.
Pretty much. Red-headed stepchild, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, what I think I love about this album is like every freaking song is catchy, number one.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really and for a death metal, doom metal band, you don't want to say catchy too much because that might be sort of lame, but no, in this case it's not lame at all. It's great. It's really a melodic album, but it's balls heavy. Okay, it's crushingly heavy with your rhythm tones, which we'll get into talking about that shortly. But there's a lot of great melodies on here. A lot of great melodies from Paul.
Yeah,
maybe some of Paul's best singing.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, as much as I can agree about like albums like Pale Haunt or even a Photic and stuff, I mean, in terms of Paul, he's come so far. And a lot of that has just been because, like, I mean, some of it's not like the talent wasn't always there, but I think there was an element of having the balls to do it, because he's not always been the most confident guy when it comes to really pushing himself out there, and we've always kind of tried to gently push him, be like, try it, try something else. Like, you don't have to just be the guy that does like the clean decipherable growl and then goes into the Shakespearean clean vocal thing. Like, there's so many other things I know you're capable of doing, and I'm happy, I'm proud to say that I think what happened with this album was that we wrote music that he really finally felt like, yeah, now is the time. Now I can do it. He's experimented with it on the last couple albums, but this is the one where he was like, I'm going for it. And as soon as we heard it, the first time we heard I think the first song we ever heard him sing on this album was Major Arcana.
I think so. Yeah.
Was the title track.
Which is that big, giant chorus where you're like, whoa, this is something I've never heard from Paul before.
Right. And when we heard that, we were like, okay, all right, like we're all in. And it was like, oh, are people going to say it's too much like this, or does it sound like, and I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I like it. We like it. This is giving us a charge. And first and foremost, that's what this has to be all about for us, because as much as
music for yourself.
Yeah, as much as we love hearing you say, oh, I really like the album, or it's a contender, like, that's all great, and we're more grateful for that than you could even know, Jeff. But at the end of the day, we have to feel good about what we're doing. We have to look at each other and get that smile, that knowing smile, and be like, yep, this is the way we want to go. If fans hate this, then that's a bummer, but man, we feel really good about doing this. So
yeah.
So it's like, you have an album, they were like, oh, it's kind of just the same thing. It's kind of whatever. It's cool, but whatever. But then the fans are like, oh my God, it's so great. We'd be like, well, that's kind of cool, but we don't have that kind of same.
I've had that happen. There's certain songs and certain things that we've done that I know fans will say, oh, I love that song. And I just don't feel that way about the song. I'm grateful that they love it. I'm happy. I'm always happy that they like anything we do. Even when I meet people that say, well, the only album I liked by you guys was Pale Haunt, or I only liked The Knowing, or I didn't like you guys after you changed after the second album. I don't get angry about it. My attitude is like, man, I'm so grateful that you liked anything we did.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of artists and a lot of bands out there who don't even have that. They don't even have one album that somebody gives a shit about. So the fact that I meet fans that are like, well, I dropped off with you guys back in 2005, but I love your first 4 albums. I'm like, thank you, dude. I mean, sorry.
More out of you.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. You gave me a perfect segue there, because I did kind of drop off with you guys at Nephilim and Hamartia.
Okay.
Not because, and to be very honest with you, because of my sickness, I wanted to go listen to those albums again, and I didn't have a chance. I've been struggling the last 3 days. I don't know what it was, but like at Bled, I just kind of was like, yeah, okay, I think I know, I think I'm good. You know what I mean? That was kind of how I felt. This album came out, and I think I got a promo from Austin, I believe, in Secret Service. I think that's where I got it through. And I'm like, oh wow, this I hadn't even thought of November's Doom in a while. Okay, let's throw it in. And man, right away, I'm like, holy fucking shit, this thing's great, man. I'm like, so now I got to go back and grab those 2 albums, because I have everything else. I own it all. In fact, I even have a Novella Reservoir shirt in my closet there that I'm way too fat to get into anymore.
That feeling.
But I mean, like, so, you know, like I said, I've been around with you guys a long, long time. It does happen. Like, man, Rush is my favorite band, but there's a couple Rush albums.
Oh, sure.
Test for Echo,
really? You don't like Test for Echo?
I'm not a big
See,
fan.
like for me, it would probably be more like I dropped off a little bit there at the end of the 80s, early 90s, like Roll the Bones, Presto, Hold Your Fire. Rush never made a bad album.
No,
but those albums are the ones that I very rarely go back to. If they're on, if somebody else is playing it, I'm like, oh, cool, you know. But
did you hear that, John Holm? Larry doesn't like Roll the Bones much either. Neither do I. Just saying.
I mean, I like some on that tour, and they were fantastic. But you know,
half the album's good. I mean, Ghost of a Chance, one of like Bravado, one of my favorite, probably a top 3 fucking Rush song for me.
Yeah.
But the rest of the album, there's a couple, you know, there's some tracks in there, you know. And I saw Rush. I was just calculating it the other day. I don't remember. A friend of mine asked me, how many times have you seen them? And I always lie and tell people like different numbers because I just forget. So I go back to 1980 was my first show, Permanent Waves.
Oh, that's awesome.
My second show ever. My first show was Kiss, Dynasty. So
you bastard.
Yeah. It would have been Love Gun, 77, but I pissed my mom off and she tore the ticket up and then taped it together and gave it to the neighbor girl.
Wow. No, I didn't get to see Kiss until Asylum, so I missed all the
I got the late 70s stuff, but Rush was my second. And from that point forward, after I moved from Houston, where I lived, back to Pennsylvania, we were Pennsylvania down to Houston and then back. And I missed Signals and Moving Pictures. From that point forward, from Grace on up, I saw them a minimum of 1, generally 2 to 3 times every tour, and as many as 5 times during Vapor Trails because Neil.
Wow.
So I traveled around, like I just went all over the place. So I figured it out. I saw him 26 times.
Nice.
In that span of time, and then I got tickets for both the Philly shows with Getty and Alex. So so I saw all those tours. You know what I mean? And all the tours were fantastic because their visual presentation was always top tier. And it's so crazy because now they're back. And one of my other favorite 70s band, Larry, is fucking Triumph. And they're back.
Oh, yeah. That's crazy, isn't it?
With Phil X. And it's like, what is it? And I grabbed tickets for that. So I digress. But John Holm loves freaking Roll the Bones. And we get into it all the time.
Oh, man, that's okay, though. You know, I mean, because so much of that has to do with, you know, I'm sure for John, I haven't talked to
places where you come in.
Where you come in and where it was at. I mean, you know, do you know how much shit I catch from people because I tell them one of my all-time favorite albums of all time is music from The Elder. I mean, I love The Elder.
It's cool.
Absolutely love that. It's huge influence. There's loads of that.
It aged better than at the time. It was so like, what is this? But
right.
Well, I think.
But going back to, again, because I was just about, whatever, I was like 10 years old or something when that came out. And for me, because I wasn't one of those kids that was just so deep into heavy rock and that was it, because I listened to prog rock and I was into Genesis and and all that, when I heard Kiss doing that, I was like, I totally acknowledged like, oh wow, this is different, but it didn't turn me off. It was just like, oh, okay, they're doing this now. Yeah. That's cool. I like when bands do something different, which is, again, tying it back to us. And I think Vito agrees, we all in the band agree, is that we don't want to be that band that always just does the predictable thing. And so, getting to what you were saying about that period with Bled White, Hamartia, and Nephilim Grove, that is probably, I love those albums. I'm proud of those albums, but that is probably the era where maybe we were the most consistent in terms of like, we sort of locked into a thing, and yeah, it didn't really deviate too much. Even structurally, how the albums were put together, there was a lot of similarity. So if you liked that, then that was great. But if it was something that didn't really jibe with you, then I could see how that could be like a dropping off period. Because if
I just got to go back to them. I think what happened was maybe I sensed or felt my tastes were changing a little bit in terms of what I was digging from the band. And I wasn't getting it at that point. I was like, yeah, it's okay. But I really, I think what I was getting at was not to criticize your work in any way,
it's okay.
But it was really to kind of draw a comparison of what is going on here, which is, it's a really fresh sounding November's Doom sound, I think. Not so much in the guitar tones. They're fairly similar because you guys we're going to talk about gear and plugins and all that kind of good stuff soon. But in terms of the songwriting,
yeah,
it's a bit more, dare I say, poppy in a weird way, in a good way. And I don't mean pop like
I know
Wham. I just, man, I like Wham, but like I mean more from a structural standpoint of there's a real discernible build from the verses to the pre-choruses to the choruses to the middles, the middle eights, or wherever. If there's a solo section, there's a real like. You can sit, whether it's Major Arcana, which is super catchy as fuck. You get the Ravenous, where it's, again, super catchy as fuck,
But in that like early 90s death metal kind of way, yeah.
Yeah, but Paul's vocals on that song are just, oh my God, dude. Like, Ravenous, it's just so sick, right? And then we get to something like, Mercy, which has this huge chorus. It's a power ballad, dude. It's like Alone Again for November's Doom in a weird way. Right?
Because well, like that was the thing. And I don't want to cut you off, but like just to address that, it's like there was a couple of interesting things that happened on this album, and they weren't pre-planned. Like they weren't things that we sat down and said, okay, this is what we're going to do. It just happened that way. One thing that was really interesting and weird was that Vito and I kind of reversed roles a little bit with the stuff that we brought in, because traditionally I've always been more of the doom metal guy, I'm the guy that goes back, Trouble, Candlemass, Winter, all that kind of stuff, even like early slow Grave and things like that. And Vito's always been like a little bit more
riffy based
and like alternative rock and like things like that. And power metal, even, progressive metal kind of stuff.
There's a lot of good traditional metal riffs on this album, dude.
But what's interesting about it is this time around, I'm the one that brought in more of that stuff.
Really?
Vito's the one that brings in like Mercy. He wrote Mercy. And even Paul said when he first heard that, he came back and he was like, oh, Larry, you came up with a great, sad doom ballad thing. And I was like,
nah, bitch, it was all
it was all Vito. 100% Vito. I created Paul created his vocals and his melodies. I came up with my solo. But other than that, man, that's all Vito. And it was just interesting because, like I said, traditionally he doesn't normally do that. And then you look at like other stuff that I would say would be more typical of Vito's style, which would be songs like Chatter, you know, even maybe like 22, and you know, some of the things that are like.
What about the dance? Because that's
kind of combination.
That's a
that's probably my second favorite track. I love that intro. It's so echoey. It's echoes Floyd from a doom death metal perspective.
It's funny because usually the Floyd stuff is Larry's.
Right, exactly. So there you go. I'm the Gilmore guy. Like I am the Floyd guy. Like one of my, you know, Gilmore is in my top 3 all time, hands down. Right. And Vito, not so much. You know, he respects Floyd, but that's not where you come from. But then he came in with all that Floydian sound and stuff. Nice. So I think that contributes to it a little bit, because we were both coming at something. It may not sound like that to the average listener because you don't know who brought in what. Right. But for us, it was refreshing because Vito was bringing in things I'd never heard him bring in before. And I was bringing in stuff that he hadn't really heard before from me. And it was like, wow, yeah, like there were certain riffs. I mean, there's stuff that's buried in there that in some of those songs where it's like in the dance, there is a straight up Warren DeMartini, Robin Crosby rat riff. That is
okay. Well, all right. So
it's in there, dude.
Yeah.
But I'm curious though on the dance.
Yeah.
You've got that really stellar chorus melody that down.
That's me. I came up with that, and that would normally be him.
And it's very traditional metal-y sounding. Yeah. But it's very, you know, Scottish Highlander, almost like Marillion sounding. It's very Steve Rothery.
Fish and Marillion. Yeah. Absolutely. And I love
that's a Steve Rothery riff right there.
Right. But it's not the kind of thing I would normally bring in. And I think it's interesting that we sort of, without it wasn't a spoken thing, but we just found ourselves digging into stuff in ourselves and bringing out things that I think maybe in the past we might have stopped ourselves short of doing.
Wow.
Same like with Paul with the vocals, where he pushed himself to cross over a comfortable, you know, threshold or line that he would draw for himself. We sort of did the same thing. You know, Vito wouldn't normally bring in like the dirge, the sad, sorrowful dirge type song, but he felt it and he was like, fuck it, I'm bringing it in.
Now, who was 22 again?
22 was me. Yeah.
I mean, that's, again, extremely proggy for you guys. Very, very, and it's probably, to me, it's, with the exception of maybe Bleed Static, it's the most, I don't know, man, it's the most un-November's Doom sounding November's Doom song in a weird way, in that it's very progressive. And it doesn't kind of, you know, the one thing you guys talked about, Aphotic, which I love that album. I mean, it's crushingly heavy. That's probably your heaviest album. Yeah.
At times, yeah.
But the thing about that album that I did find a little bit was it did have a bit of a sameness to it that this doesn't have that. This is a lot of peaks and valleys. And I want to hear that. I don't want to hear, you know, no offense, I don't want to hear Panzerfaust. I just don't want to hear that every song sounding exactly the same, or Under a Funeral Moon or something like that. It's cool for 20 minutes and that's like fuck.
Right.
But I mean, that's the cool thing about this album is that today I listened to it 3 different times. I listened to it twice yesterday, and every time I'm like, oh wait, I think that's my favorite song. Oh wait, no, that's my favorite song. And then I was hearing all those. As a guitar player, I'm always listening for the weird riff. Like on Bleed Static, that really cool intro part you're doing where you got the dissonant sort of little arpeggiations that are going. And then you go into the more standard chordal stuff to bring it home to get to the chorus.
Right.
That's Bleed Static does remind me a lot though of Pale Heart Departure era songwriting. That was the one thing I thought.
I think that could be because knowing that there's a lot of those like minor to suspended chords that we're doing. So there's aspects of it that are very similar to like what we did in things like Through a Child's Eyes, Dead Leaf Echo. So, and then of course, because of the rhythm And because Paul is kind of doing more of that, sinister, deep kind of almost, he's singing, but it's a little bit more talky and
Right.
yeah, I hadn't really thought it, like we didn't really think about it that way, but yeah, that makes sense. I could see that it wouldn't be out of place as much on an album like Pale Haunt. Yeah, so that makes sense to me. I just never really thought about it,
So when you're throwing riff ideas back at each other, or even semi-structured demos, where it really comes together is then you guys rehearse, and that's where you start to, is that where Paul's hearing it first, or are you actually sending him files to think about creating melodies? And let's say take a song like Ravenous.
Yeah.
In order for, are you guys as guitar players, songwriters, are you going to Paul and saying, hey, I got da da dee 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 da da, that kind of thing, like as a melody line here? Or are you totally leaving it up to him to fit his vocals over what you've got as bed tracks?
I think we don't really give him too much guidance with that, at least not at first.
Right. If anything, I mean, towards the end, you might go and work on a melody with him to bring out.
Right. I was just going to say, yeah, I think that especially with this album, I think what we did was we wrote the music. I mean, the music was pretty much written. There was some stuff that was still getting changed as Paul was coming up with his stuff. But for the most part, we were like 85% there. And then Paul started coming up with his stuff. And then kind of in the latter days before going into the studio and really completing the demos and such, both Vito and I will talk to Paul and kind of be like, okay, take a song like that, like Ravenous. I might be like, okay, I love 90% of what you're doing, but these couple parts here,
okay,
feel a little weird. Like it's not, and we try to be careful. We don't shut each other down because that can be really negative and everything. But it's like, if I'm hearing something different than what Paul's coming up with, and especially if Paul says, I'm a little stumped on this pre-chorus part, man. I can't. I might go to him and be like, well, when I wrote that, I was totally thinking like individual thought patterns, Chuck style riffing on that pre-chorus. So like maybe take that, does that help you at all? Think about this song, or think about the way Martin Van Drunen sang this on this Asphyx record or something. And that might be the thing that Paul goes, oh, okay. Yeah. And it helps him to because he hadn't been thinking that way,
hone in on a direction.
So it might open up a window for him, where he's like, oh man, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah. Let me mess around with this. And that's usually kind of the way it goes. But for the most part, yeah, there really isn't too much stepping on anybody else's ideas or toes. I mean, after all these years, we just kind of know what each other's going to do. Nobody sits there and says to me, Larry, you should play this kind of guitar solo, or I don't sit there and tell Vito, oh, maybe, your clean section should be, we might give little pushes, or be like, if I hear him do something, I might be like, oh, that's really awesome. What if you did that again? And he might be like, oh, okay. Or if I play certain solo things, especially when we're demoing, and if Vito points out, he's like, I love this section of the solo you did. I might be like, oh, okay. Like that's good feedback. All right. Maybe I'll focus on that and I'll build up around it. So it's always that sort of like positive thing. But for the most part, everybody's sort of left to their devices because we just trust.
We all trust each other that he's going to do his job. And then if there is some nudging, we all know that we can be comfortable in saying that to each other. We're not going to take it the wrong way.
Right.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about guitar tones on here, man. Because is this amps? Is this Sims? Is this plugins? Is it a combo of all of them?
It's all amps. It's all amps.
Okay.
Never done an album without a guitar amp for heavy tones.
We've used some plug-in stuff for cleans. We've done for certain cleans, but even then it's never been like all like plug-in, for cleans. It might be like a little bit of a plug-in thing at the studio, but then we also still play clean through an orange amp or something like that. Yeah. We always mix it up. we did some different stuff this time. Yeah, we definitely did not do this album with like the usual, like, you know, Mesa Boogie and a Marshall JVM and a 5153. We didn't use any of that. We actually did some really weird shit this time. Should we tell? I don't know.
I hear Bogner for some weird reason.
No, what you're hearing is a Framus. We used a Framus
guitar or amp?
Amp.
Framus amp, a Framus Cobra amp.
Shit, I didn't even know they made amps. How about that? Okay, weird.
Yeah, I didn't even know they made guitars until like recently. I think.
No, I know about the Framus guitar.
Yeah, we
Devin Townsend's Framus.
Yeah,
that's when I found out they made guitars. Is when I saw Devin with one. I just thought they made amps and like kind of like obscure amps that no one knew about. But you know.
Yeah, no. So we used a Framus amp, and all the rhythm tones are a blend. We used a frame. I can't like define it because there was some experimenting going on, but there was a Framus. There was some PV amps in there, and
the Penta.
Yeah, we even used a PV Penta on some of it. Yeah.
Not a 6505?
Nope.
Wow.
There's not a 6505 to be found on this.
Because I sold mine.
Yeah, he did. I was so mad that you sold that. I'm like, how the fuck could you sell that amp? We got an album to do. And he was like, oh, I needed the money.
Well, okay, before we take further, what's your shit in the rehearsal hall? What's your main rigs? Because I've seen different things.
It depends. It kind of depends. We don't always. Well, Vito tends to now. Well, especially since you sold your amp. It used to be that Vito, depending on the mood and what we were doing, Vito was either using the 6505 Plus or you were using your Fractal through a power stage,
right?
Seymour Duncan power stage. So. You know, and that's his fly rig, you know, that's like what so sometimes just use the fly rig, sometimes use the PV6505. For me, it's been a mishmash. My fly rig is another power stage. We're both, you know, we're Seymour Duncan guys, man. I've been my whole life and I work with them very closely. So, so we use the power stages, and I go through various different preamps that I experiment with. But in terms of amps, I've been a Marshall guy over the years, and I've used Marshall, and I've got, actually, you know what? One thing I love to use, I didn't use it on this album and I should have, is I've got one of those older Jet City made by Soldano heads.
Oh man.
Those are really cool. They're really underrated. I think a lot of people thought it was like, well, Jet City and it's cheaper and it's not going to be that good. And I had an opportunity to get my hands on one of those Soldano clone 100 watters. Oh man, you know, did a little work, changed some tubes, did some experimenting with some different preamp and power tubes and stuff. But that's a beast, you know. But I won't take it now. It's like a collector's item of sorts, so I won't take it like out of the room. You know what I mean?
But were you a Mesa guy at one point in time, or am I?
Yeah, we used to be Mesa. We used to do a lot of like, I think, especially back when we were doing like Into Night's Requiem Infernal.
Even I think Palin was a dual rectifier on one side.
Right, that was some of it. Yeah. There was always, usually the one thing that we always blended in there was Marshall. We always had a Marshall, and this time we didn't do the Marshall. Like I said, this album there's PV, there's the Framus, there's Orange. We've got Orange amps in there and stuff. So we definitely got a little bit more experimental, and it took some work, you know, to really find the right tones and blend it, because there was no like easy go-to amp like a 5153 or a triple rec or a JVM 410 or something, you know, like we really got a little experimental, and I think it was cool. I thought we came up with, like I said, it may not jump out immediately as being like a very different guitar tone, but it was to us from the playing standpoint, the way it made us play and everything. It made a difference. A lot of people don't think about that, man. Like they listen to people play, you know, again, because this is part of, I work in MIT, so like, you know, I work in the music technology end of stuff. So like people watch YouTube videos or they listen to albums and they think like, oh, well, this guy went through 5 different pickups, it all sounds the same to me. And it's like, well, I get that, like, and especially watching through a YouTube video or something like that. But what's most important is, how did it feel and sound to the guy that was playing the guitar?
Yeah, that's the trick right there. Yep.
You know, that's where it makes a difference. Like if I use a guitar that has a Black Winter pickup in it, and then I pick up another guitar that has an EMG, you know, in a 60 or an 81 or whatever in there,
Mm-hmm.
to you at home, you might not hear a huge difference. You might be like, okay, well, both of them sound chuggy. But me playing it, the way
the attack, all
the way it's responding to my picking, the way it makes me play, that's where the difference is. And that's the same thing with all the gear, with guitars, with amps, all that stuff. So yeah, when I go back and I listen to Major Arcana, I don't listen to the guitar tone and go, wow, this is so different than what we did on Nephilim Grove or whatever. But I know when we were playing it and we were recording, it felt different, and it caused us to play differently.
Yeah.
And, you know, and that's really where it matters. As long as it sounds good to everybody at home, as long as everybody goes, well, it's a good tone. Okay, that's great. After that, what everybody thinks at home doesn't really matter. It's like how it makes us play.
Sure.
Because if I'm playing a tone that, like, Jeff, maybe you go, oh, that's a killer fucking tone, but I'm not jibing with it, and it's not, and it doesn't matter, you know?
Yep. No, I totally get it, man. I mean, you know, and that's, you guys know this. And let's talk about guitars, because that's the next big piece to this thing.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's maybe the most critical piece in a lot of ways. That's the thing that's connected to your hands, that your head and your brain and your ears are channeling what your brain is coming up with in your fingers. Larry, what do you typically use?
Okay, so it's interesting. So for years now, my main go-to guitar has been, of all things, a Fender Squier subsonic 6-string baritone. So it was kind of a weird anomaly of a guitar. It only was out for like a year. It came out back in like 2001. I think it was. And if you ever look them up, if anybody's not familiar with it, look it up. It's a Squier subsonic 6-string, and it's the most unfendery, unsquiry guitar they ever made. And there's a whole story. We don't have time. We'll talk about it some other time if you want. I know the inside skinny on what made that guitar unique, but it's neck through, which is unusual for Fender.
Fender, yeah, they're using
it's dual humbucker. It's got a regular tailpiece. It doesn't have like the usual Fender, tailpiece, and there's no bar. It's like this weird mishmash hybrid of being like a Jackson, a Fender, and a Gibson, but it's also 27-inch scale, so it's a baritone.
Baritone, yeah.
Right, and that guitar, I've toured with it. I've recorded, I don't know, every album since Pale Hunt, I've used that guitar on. And people can smirk and be like, oh, it's some cheap guitar. Every single engineer, producer, front of house sound man, other guys in bands have been like, holy shit, that guitar sounds amazing. Now,
is that a Japanese or is it Mexican?
No, it's a foreign made one and everything.
Okay.
The guy that developed that, he was at Fender Squier for a very brief time in the early 2000s. There's some people that'll know this, but they brought him over from Fender Japan, and they brought him here to the States, and they wanted him to develop some cool new stuff for Squier. And he did. And the stuff that he made, and this was one of the few things he made, was way above the standard of what people would expect from Squier. I mean, it's Squier, and everything. I mean, Squier does cool stuff, but you know what I mean? It's not generally considered tour worthy and such. But this guy was only there very briefly because essentially the stuff they were making was too good really to be Squier. It was not. And through a lot of like business politics and different things that's not my business, he wasn't there anymore. And so they only made this subsonic baritone for, like I said, a year, maybe 2 years. It might have lasted into 2002, but they're hard to find. You can't really, if you do a search.
Is this it here or what do you
yes, that's it. Yeah, that's it. I mean, I've got the Doom logo. I always put the Doom logo on.
Oh, okay, because I was looking at that. So is that a reverse headstock? I can't tell.
Yes, it's a reverse headstock. And what I've got in there right now, I've got Seymour Duncan Black Winners in there, and that's what I have in that guitar. Okay. Yeah, and it shows. And then
there, right?
Yeah, those are my 3 main pickups that I've used. The Black Winter is in there. The Duncan Custom is what I have in my other main guitar. That this was the first album I used it on, right? I didn't.
Solar?
I didn't have that from. I got a Solar baritone guitar.
Oh, did you? From Ola?
Yeah, one of Ola's. I got my hands on one of his. It's a 6-string because I don't play 7s or 8s. I do. It's all 6-string.
I can never.
And I got
around with 7.
Yeah, and I got one of the Solar baritones, and the Duncan Solar pickups that were in there. They were cool, but there was just a little bit of something that I wanted a little bit different. So I'm a big fan of the Duncan Custom, the SH5. So I threw that in there, and then it's got a 59 in the neck, which is great, especially when I do clean tone stuff. Great for some creamy lead stuff. So those were my 2 main guitars. That's what.
I'm going to show you something here. Because
Okay.
I don't know. I don't even know what these are. But this
Oh,
is
that a Dean? Is it a Cadillac?
Cadillac.
Yeah.
But I don't know what these are. Do you have any idea? I don't know what I saw.
Gosh, it's hard to say. It could be a number of different things, in the Zebras.
I gotta look the specs up when I got it. I can't find it. I play this in D standard, but I love this fucking guitar, and it's an Indo, man.
Yeah.
It's not the $3,000. I played a $3,000 one. I could have bought one, but I was like, hey, you know what, man? I don't really need it.
It all depends, man. It all depends. People like to believe there's some special mojo in really expensive guitars, and I have played some really expensive guitars that are just like, oh my god, this thing is amazing. I've also picked up some really expensive guitars that I would never pick up and play ever again.
I buy used guitars when I can. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
And
okay, Vito, tell me what you
let's talk about what you use, man.
My main guitar is a PRS SE 277 baritone with Seymour Duncan Black Winters.
Yep.
Okay.
That's the 2018 model. So that one I actually bought brand new, but usually I buy used guitars if I can. All baritones. I've been primarily baritone since I've joined the band.
Yeah. Yeah. You used to be an Ibanez baritone guy, but then you found
you guys tuned to B, or what are you tuned to these days?
Drop A sharp. So we tuned to C standard, and then we drop
down.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got other tunings here and there, but that's
we do use some other tunings.
Is that typical? Was that around a Aphotic you jumped into that, or Requiem?
No, we've been doing that.
Back?
We've been doing that all the way back, going all the way back to 98, 99. Yeah, when I joined the band, it was weird for me because when I joined the band in 99 and they were doing that tuning, I was like, oh, okay. Ironically, I was already playing in A sharp, but I was playing in A sharp standard. I wasn't tuned to drop. I wasn't tuned to C and then dropped. I had to tune my guitar up, down, because in the 90s, again, I'm sure you guys all remember, the drop tuning thing had a stigma to it. A lot of people were like, oh, that's stupid new metal, simple whatever, one finger thing. But what was interesting, and still the way we do it, that's not why we have that. We have that because we do a lot of there's a lot of movement that's going on in our chords. So we may be barring across the first 2 frets or the first 2 strings on 1 fret, but there's a lot of movement going on. And we found that doing things like suspended chords, add 9 chords, a lot of like the more
inverted chords that we do,
progressive chords and things, we were able to do that better by doing the drop tuning thing than if we were tuning standard, because if we did it that way, if we were tuned standard without the drop, then one of us would have to be playing more like the simple chords while the other guy was playing the layers. This way, he and I can do it. We get to both do like the more elaborate chord shapes. And then sometimes we even harmonize within that. So it creates a more unique sound. And I found not that there's tons of them, but there are like videos out there of people online covering our stuff and playing our stuff. And I found that a lot of them aren't doing it that way because they're missing out on all those layers that are in there and understanding. And I get it. But I'll tell you honestly, that's why Vito got the job as the guitar player when he auditioned. What was that? 2002? 3, 2, yeah.
End of
your first gig with us was in 2003.
Yep.
At Lemoore, of all places.
In Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn. Wow, his first gig was at Lemoore. But we auditioned other guys, and there were some good players that came in, but Vito was the only guy that came in with the right tuning and understood those shapes. Like he was doing all that, and I was like, oh, there you go. This kid, because he was literally a kid, this kid gets it. And I was like, okay, you know, and he was, I mean, in all honesty, he knows he was the least experienced guy.
This was the first real band I've ever been in.
Wow.
Like, I've never, I mean, I played with friends in high school and
Right.
stuff, but an actual band that was signed and was actually going to go in the recording studio, that had never happened to me before. So I was literally like a brand new guy in the band in a lot of different ways. So
how'd you find out about the opening?
Well,
I forget. We put it out there.
I think it was on AOL. I had some band in my profile, and Paul was doing a search in Chicago, and I was one of the guys that popped up. So I thought it was a joke because I was a big November's Doom fan before I got the email or message, and I was like, no, this got to be a joke. But
yeah,
it was legit.
Yeah, AOL, is that when you had to walk around at night with a candle to see where you're at in your?
I think
I still have my AOL email, man. You know, it's like old habits die hard. Well, you know what? I've got so much business tied up in that. It's like I've just been like, you know what? I'll keep it because I've got a lot of old business contacts tied. I have other emails too, of course. I've got Gmail and blah blah blah. But I still hang on to that. I still hang on to that one for certain things, man. Yeah. Nostalgic for it.
Vito, you said you're using an SE, right? Did you say?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I don't go for the $4,000 PRS guitar. One, I can't afford it. Two, it's just not. Oh, dude.
Well, it's funny because this is a long story. I won't tell it all, but there's because of the medical shit that I'm dealing with. I ended up getting a medical settlement, and I had to sell my 2004 custom 22 10 top.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. In 2004, when I bought that, it was $3,000.
Yeah,
I had to sell it when shit got pretty bad, and you know how that can be. I'm sure you guys have had to part with stuff that you love. And the funny story about this guitar is that I got this settlement, and I went out and I loaded up on tons of stuff. You can see I got a I got an O2 Destroyer back here. I got a Taylor. A top end Taylor here, you know.
Nice.
So I'm like, man, I gotta buy a PRS, and then I'm like, man, I just don't want to drop $5,000 on a fucking custom 22 now.
Absolutely.
Like, so now we're talking like $2,000 more than
what it was. Oh yeah.
I'm friends with Paul Masvidal. You know Paul?
Yeah, yeah. I've met him before. Really great guy.
Oh, super guy. So I had it in my head. I wanted to get one of his Strandbergs, and we started negotiating on a couple Strandbergs, right? And then another friend of mine is Kelly from a good friend of mine, Kelly Schaefer.
Yeah, we've met him. We played with Atheist a couple times years back, and he was really good guy.
Cynic up in
and we played with Paul and Cynic. Yeah, we did with them, and we played with Atheist. I mean, this was years ago, you know, but yeah.
But I'm talking to Kelly, and I'm like, hey man, I'm thinking about buying one of Paul Strandberg's, and Kelly's like, dude, if you buy a headless guitar, I'm gonna whoop your ass.
I can see that.
I was like, yeah. He goes, don't tell Paul I said that, because Paul and I are like great friends. I love that guy to death, but nah, don't do it. So I'm like, yeah, okay. You know what? I think he's right. I think I better go buy. I really want a PRS, and I really wanted a semi.
Right. I would say a semi hollow.
Yeah. So I mean, it's it's only the top chamber, right?
Right.
It's also dusty as fuck. This is an SE, and it's a 2017, I think. Maybe 2018. Custom 22. It's a Korean. It's Korean.
Mm-hmm.
No, this is Indonesian. I thought it was
Korean. Oh, is that actually they were doing Indonesia by then?
Yeah,
okay.
It's Kuhr, which I believe does a lot of guitars. They may even do some of the
Solar.
Solars. Yeah. And yeah, man, I dig it. And it was like $600. That was used, obviously. I mean, it was used.
Sure.
But I mean, does it feel like the $3,000 one I sold? Not quite. But is there $4,500 difference between the $5,000 one and this one? No
Usually.
way, man.
No, not usually. Yeah, and I mean, my thing is this: like, I don't bag on anybody what they play. If you play a $300 guitar and you're like, man, I'm just in love with this guitar and this is like a part of me and I love to play on it and you sound good on it, man, play that $300 guitar. But if you were like, hey, I bought a $4,000 guitar and this thing is just like a gem and I love it and I just can't put it down, then play that $4,000 guitar, man. Like that's the beauty of it. You know, I mean, Jeff, you remember when we were kids, man, like the gap there between what you would get if you bought a Les Paul or a good Strat or a Jackson or something like that, and then the cheap guitars that we were getting out of the Sears catalog or we were getting from the pawn shop or whatever, some old Series 10 Bentley or whatever,
Electro or something.
Yeah, you know, it was like the gap there, not just in terms of price but playability and sound. It was terrible.
Yeah,
people nowadays. No, it's not
like that anymore. Really,
it's not like that anymore. You can get a guitar for under $1,000. It has stainless steel frets. It's got good wood. It's actually put yeah, right, exactly.
Yep.
You know,
the only place that spending the money is paramount is when you're buying a high-end acoustic. That's a different ball.
Acoustics,
yeah, that's totally
different. Are a completely different story.
Yep.
That's a whole other conversation, and I agree with you completely. I mean, I've played some really nice and decent sounding, affordable acoustic guitars. Don't get me wrong. I use them all the time, but that is definitely where I think playability, tone, just craftsmanship, that is where you're going to see the huge difference.
So I have a 424 CE walnut edge burst.
Yeah.
So it's not Sitka spruce, it's walnut top.
Right.
I had to part with all these things when I went through this breakup with my girl and had some health stuff going on.
Right.
I had to part with my 2006 D28 HD 28. And,
okay.
But the weird thing is, when I got this money, I went out and played a bunch of Martins, and I do love Martins, and of course I would love to get another Martin, but we'll have to wait for a while on that. But I played this Taylor, man, and I was like, okay, yeah, whatever, box it up. I don't give a shit what it costs. I'm taking it home. There's no way I'm letting that guitar go. And if I had to get rid of everything in here tomorrow, that would be the last thing that would leave this room.
Okay.
Just because I spend 99% of my time playing on my acoustic.
Right.
Almost all my riffs, I don't know if you guys feel this way at all, but some of my coolest riffs, if they sound great on an acoustic, I know they're going to translate.
There's tons of stuff on Major Arcana that I wrote on an acoustic.
Yeah.
Tons of it that I came up, because most of the time when I'm at home, I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered to
plug it in,
pull out the baritone and plug it in and do all this and everything. A lot of times I'm literally just laying around or I'm sitting somewhere. Like I could just get hit with inspiration and I got to grab something that's handy. And I also, in addition to playing in November's Doom, I go out and I do a lot of like covers gigs and stuff. I do a lot. Oh yeah. I go out and I do everything from like songwritery stuff, like mostly older stuff. So I'll do like Gordon Lightfoot and Roy Orbison and Bob Seger and and Tom Petty, like that. That's kind of like, that's all sort of my forte, but I've played everything. But a lot of that is acoustic. A lot of that is I'm going out and I'm playing like little cafes and little bars and clubs, and sometimes I go out and it's like me and a bass player and a guy playing a djembe, and we just are playing cool, 60s and 70s stuff. Yeah, I love doing that because it keeps me for one, it makes money, and it also when we're not doing stuff, it's helping me pay bills. But I just love being able to do that. I love being able to express that side of me. Balance it out.
How you guys holding up? Can I keep you for about 20 minutes?
Oh man, we're not in a hurry. We're doing good. It's flying.
What about your signal chain? Like what's going on there as far as what you're doing in the studio versus maybe like what you're doing live? Now I think Larry, you said fractal. Vito, you're using a fractal. Which version, the 3 or?
So I actually have the X8, which is like the floorboard unit.
Floorboard unit. Okay,
amps and the effects in there, and that's running through my Seymour Duncan Power Stage 170.
Okay.
And when we're doing that live, I am running through a cabinet. I don't go to direct front of house. I have the option. I have it wired so we can do that, but I always go through the cabinet. Same with Larry. We go through cabs live and stuff.
Yeah.
In the studio, I don't use that. We use just the amps, like we're saying, and
Right.
our go-to pedals, like we use Bass 90. We've got like a Boss Chorus.
Oh, we've got all sorts of pedals we cycle through. Yeah,
A lot of analog stuff. All analog stuff.
Yeah,
all analog stuff. Yeah, I'm a big fan of like analog delay. I'm using, again, I'm going to sound like a total mark for Seymour Duncan. Sorry, folks. I am wearing the shirt, but but it's true. Like the Vapor Trail delay is like my favorite analog delay. Different choruses. I still love the good old, I love the Wazacraft Boss chorus, man. That thing's fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah, and then like preamp stuff. I mean, I've gone through all different kinds of things. Right now I'm using it's like a 5150 clone kind of pedal that I'm using as a preamp. And that's pretty cool. It's working out good. It's good. I switch it up too, depending on like the albums and stuff. Cause like that 5150 clone pedal going through the Power Stage is really good for the major Arcana stuff. I found it sounds really good when I'm doing like Ravenous and The Fool and some of and 22. Like it just has that tone that more closely was matching the feel I had when we recorded it in the studios. So, but I 3 months from now, I might change that up. That's the beauty of doing that, is I like being able to change that up and swap out pedals. And he's like, he's the modeler guy. I've used modelers. I like modelers. The Quad Cortex is fabulous. I think it's cool. It's very useful. Yeah,
oh, dude.
I'm still trying to fucking get my head around this goddamn thing.
Me with the Fractal too, dude. I haven't changed that thing in like 7 years.
It's user friendly, but like I'm so tied to. I bought it mainly to do stuff on my DAW with, and I'm still fucking around with that. Like a year later, I'm still not. Oh wow! Not addressing it the way I should, and I think I need to do a firmware update. But man, I mean, this thing like. Yeah, that thing's fantastic. I've gotten to know that so well over the years because, again, like working in MI and everything and doing stuff when I'm at NAMM or I'm various things, I always wind up with a Quad Cortex. I've used it in various settings and I love it. I think it's great. I should probably just give up the Ghost and do like Vito's doing and have like the Power Stage and the Cortex, or you've got the Fractal. For
the travel gigs, it's so
I get it. I just
doing it now.
I just love pedals. I'm so old school. I love and I like I said, I'm a tinkerer, man. I like to be able to change things on the fly. There's times I'll change out pedals literally moments before we're going to leave the house and go fly to do a show somewhere. I'm like, no, you know what? I want to use this different. I want to use this different chorus this time, or I want to use this different, boost, overdrive, whatever. I like being able to like fiddle around with it, and I know you can do that with a Cortex and with a Fractal. But like you said, man, like having to dive into all that and do that. I saw a great interview with fucking George Lynch yesterday, I think, and George is awesome. Man. He's he's a big influence. One of my favorites. Are you a big George guy? Oh, we are both big George Lynch fans. Oh, fucking dude, that guy is still just baking my brain when he plays anymore. And he was asked about modeling, and he's like, I think I paraphrasing here, it's not an exact quote, but he's like, I must be too fucking retarded or stupid. Pardon that term. Yeah, right. But to get my head around that shit. And I think it could be an old man sort of thing because I keep, when I'm in the DAW, it sounds great, but I've never got it to sound like coming through my amp right. It doesn't, and I know people really well. I don't know, do you know the band Tumult? Tumult, yeah. I don't know them, but I know of them, yeah. So to get that thing to sound fucking crushing live, I've yet to see it happen. Right. I just have yet to see it happen. Tumult, good friends. Payson was playing last summer. He was playing through a JCM 800 with all analog stuff. Just melting my face. Derek was playing through that as a preamp into the head.
it didn't have that punch in the face that you want to hear.
Yeah,
You know what I
I
mean?
don't think you can replicate that. It's pretty much impossible, I think. And they've gotten better at it, but you can definitely tell, especially when you put it side by side. But there's some kids who've never even played through an actual amp
Exactly.
before,
Oh, I know.
so they wouldn't even know like what that feels like or whatever.
Right.
You know? So
Yeah, I deal with them all the time. I talk to them all
that's
the time.
sad. That's sad as fuck, man, because there's nothing like sitting in front of a fucking amp and just having
and just
little-
feeling it,
It
push you,
moves air.
you
It
know,
pushes
it's-
air. Yeah, I mean, it really does. Again,
punch
kids
in the gut,
will
man.
think it's it's some boomer cliche, but it's
No,
like,
it's
no,
not.
you gotta try it. But there's something to be said for the amazing cleanness and tightness you can get out of those. Like I said, I've used the Quad Cortex with the Duncan Power Stage going through a proper guitar cabinet, and man, am I going to pretend that it's moving air the way it would if I plugged into a Marshall or a Rock Verb or something like that? No, it's not doing that. But is it almost there?
It's close.
It can get close. But you gotta spend a lot of time with it. And I think the thing for guys like me, maybe guys like you, and guys like George Lynch, is that we need to. Things need to be more spontaneous. They need to be there, man. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, that's why, like, I know what works. If I've got the pedals and I've got my amp and I've got my guitar and my certain pickups and everything, like, I want it to work right away. I don't want to have to sit down and go, I gotta, because I've heard Devin talk about it, like with the fractals, and he's told, friends of mine and stuff, like, oh yeah, you got to sit down and, spend a few weeks with the fractal. And I'm like, dude, I want to be able to
do that. Yeah.
I want to dial in my tone in under 20 minutes.
Go. Yeah.
Especially if something goes wrong on stage, then you're like, well, I don't even know how to work this thing. How am I going to fix this?
Yeah,
in 2
it's
minutes.
it's tough. Yeah.
Vito, so you used the fractal predominantly live then?
Yeah, that's
now. Yeah,
for the last few years. Yeah,
they're great, man. I was dipping around with that. I really was trying to think which way I wanted to go, and I ended up going that way. And I did pull in, man, I guess I got 3 or 4 of the plugins. Like I've got the Petrucci suite, which is, if only I was good enough to even use it, and be worthy of using it.
Like Larry and I have seen Dream Theater a couple times together, and like his tone is like the perfect live tone we've ever heard, dude.
I just saw him in September for the Parasomnia. It's the first time I've seen him, God, man, since freaking probably whatever that tour was that they did, the outdoor thing, the Prague Nation tour.
Yeah,
which I think was Black Clouds. I think Black Clouds and Silver Linings. So like Porto was still with him, and then I didn't see him at all. I did see him with Mangine. That's a lie. I saw him on the Astonishing because somebody gave me a free ticket, and I don't like that album much at all. Most people don't. Yeah. But Petrucci, fuck man. I mean,
he's the man, dude. He's the man.
I saw them. The first tour I saw them was Falling into Infinity. So that's how old I am. And Eric Sherinian was with them because
I remember that. Yep.
Kev had just left before that album.
Right, I remember that.
And he was playing the Picasso guitar. Remember the Picasso Ibanez?
Yeah.
I was literally like 5 feet away from him, just like, I'm never, ever, ever gonna pick up my guitar again, man. No way. And I have those moments, and so that's a good segue right there.
Yes.
Who are some of the guitar players that you were major influences on you as youngsters, and then who are the guys that you look at and go, yeah, I'm not picking up my guitar again for quite a while. I just saw Steve Morse a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, fuck this dude, I'm never picking up my guitar again after that.
That guy guitar is like another appendage of his, man. It's insane.
That guy used to like play guitar
when he was a pilot. He used to practice on his way to work. He would steer the car with his knees, and he would practice just on his way to the airport. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Vito, what are some of what would you say?
I mean,
I honestly don't even know. I'd have to.
I mean, the guy that made me pick up the guitar was James Hetfield from Metallica.
Okay.
I wouldn't be playing guitar if it wasn't for him. I was really into like the alternative 90s scene for a long time. Back then I was real into Tool and Seven Dust, which still to this day, I mean, Clint and John from Seven Dust are a huge influence on me. it's funny because I think I bring some of that to November's Doom and people never pick up on that stuff.
Right.
Larry does, but nobody else is like, oh, that's a Seven Dust riff. It's like, yeah, but you guys.
No, now that you say it, I definitely hear it. The more, maybe the more staccato type stuff, that kind of growly shit, that digging in hard stuff.
If you mentioned the dance earlier, I'll just say the dance and maybe you can figure it out from there. But
right, it says right here that when it gets into that, wait, hold on, that pummeling, chuggy, riffy section, man.
Yeah,
that's the section, where I could hear the Seven Dust sort of.
Yeah.
And what's funny about that section is, so he came in with this Seven Dusty thing, and then underneath it, if you listen to the dance again, especially, I think it's in the second verse, Gary starts doing he's kind of doing that bit, and I am literally playing a variation of the riff from Back for More by Rat. Da, 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 da.
Oh, yeah.
It's what I've done. And when I did it as kind of a gag, because I'm always playing shit like that. I'm such a DeMartini and Lynch guy, so it's always Dokken and Rat. And then I was like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm leaving it in. I'm like, it's nobody's gonna know unless I tell them, and who cares? And if they do, if somebody came to me and was like, dude, like, I picked out that you're doing this Rat riff, or this one riff sounds like Dream Warriors, and I would be like, all right, I'm buying you a drink, or I'm buying you a coffee, or whatever you want, because that would make me so happy, man. Like, we do that shit all the time.
Yeah, man.
Spot the riff.
Yeah.
Because our influence are not from what people would expect us to draw from.
I know.
Majority of the time.
Everybody,
right?
yeah. I mean, I'm not going to go on about it because we've talked about it plenty. I'm sure Paul said it, but it's like everybody assumes, like, well, you guys are definitely very influenced by Paradise Lost and My Dying Bride and Opeth. And I'm like, those bands are not even remotely an influence on me. Not even close. I respect the hell out of all those bands. They're fantastic bands, but not even remotely an influence on me. If there's anything I have in common with My Dying Bride and Opeth, it's because I know from talking to Andy and talking to Mike and stuff that I have similar influences. Mike and I grew up listening to both,
you're around the same age,
prog rock and listening to Morbid Angel. And then get Opeth. And it's
but to be fair, there was a period of time there, and I would say it's around the Pale Haunt Departure era.
Yeah.
That there was a lot of the written press guys were comparing you and Opeth a lot, especially that album and BWP probably and Still Lifey, because there was, there to a lay person, to the metal, they might be like, oh, that's the same band. But do you see what I'm saying? Like, I would never say that. And people that know metal,
there's 3 things that maybe that album and Blackwater Park have, and those are minor to suspended chords,
right?
Add 9 chords and 6/8 time.
6/8 time, exactly.
When you put these things together, it's like, I mean,
and then you've got a guy that can do clean.
Invent that stuff.
Yeah, man. You've got a guy that does clean growls, and then he sings. And I mean, here's the thing. Don't get me wrong. If somebody says, "Oh, you guys kind of remind me of like Opeth," I'm like, oh, thank you, because they're a fantastic band. And,
and sometimes you have to let somebody know that maybe isn't familiar with what we sound like, but they know who Opeth is.
Yeah, I'll tell people, I'll be like, yeah, we're in that Opethy style. But what I get upset about is when people are like, well, you guys are just trying to be Opeth. And I'm like, I can absolutely guarantee you that is like the farthest thing from the truth. And in fact, if anything, we've worked hard not to, because we've come up with stuff that we've liked, and we go, this is going to really get compared to Opeth. It's very so, and we'll trash it. We'll be like, no, we're not.
The other thing is too, though, you guys have used a very similar mixer. One Mr. Dan Swano,
back
in the day, and talk a little bit about him, because he's been kind of the 6th member of the band for a long time.
Sure. So real quick,
7th too.
Yeah, 7th. Yeah, because we have to include Chris Wisco, our engineer, because the team of Chris being the engineer and Dan being the mixer, the master, all that stuff. The overlord. Yeah, that we've stuck with that team for a reason, because, like you said, they're a part of us now. Real quick, I'll give you the back history on it. So Paul and I were both big fans of Dan Swano back in the early 90s, big Edge of Sanity fans, all that stuff, everything he did, that Pandemonium later, all that kind of stuff. And my old doom metal band that I was in at the time when Amid Its Hallowed Mirth came out, I was in a band called Dead Serenade. We never did an album. We did 2 demos.
I've heard it.
Yeah, they're out there. You know, it's kind of just your typical doom deathy type stuff. But we shared members in November's Doom as well. Some of the guys that were in Dead Serenade were also in November's Doom. And at that time, we were corresponding with Dan, old school snail mail, you know, overseas, and, you know, maybe an occasional expensive phone call. And my band we had wanted to do an album with Dan engineering, because this is back when he was doing that. And my band ended because my best friend and the lead singer, the leader of the band, was killed in a car crash the day we were going to sign a record deal.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That morning, we were literally doing the record signing show that night in Chicago. It was a Sunday. And Sunday morning, Jerry was on his way home and he was killed in a car crash. So that ended that. And I walked away from music for 4 years until I got lured in by November's Doom. But anyway, so the point was that always stuck in my head, you know, like, man, I wish we could have worked with Dan Swano. And
right.
When we decided that we weren't going to do the same thing we did on To Welcome the Fade, which was we used Neil Kernan, you know.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
Neil's great. I'm still friends with Neil. I mean, he's a Grammy-winning producer. He did all those Dokken albums. He did.
Didn't he do a lot of Nevermore shit?
Did the Nevermore stuff. He did Unleashed in the East. Priest, man.
Oh,
you know,
that's right.
You know, Rage for Order, Queensryche. Like, he did a lot of my favorite albums. So it was great working with Neil, but for various reasons, we just decided we wanted to go in a different direction. The music, as you know, between To Welcome the Fade and Pale Haunt, it was different. Yeah. So at that point, it was like, well, where are we going to go? Who are we going to talk to? We were looking at various options. And my girlfriend at the time was like, well, what about Dan Swano? You're always, you know, we were fans. And she was like, you know, he used to make albums. And it was like, oh, yeah, what's he up to? So Paul basically dragged Dan out of like self-enforced retirement because Dan wasn't doing albums anymore. In 2004, yeah, he wasn't recording other people's stuff and mixing other people's stuff. So he kind of dragged Dan out of retirement, and his big first comeback album was Pale Haunt Departure. He still gives us credit for that too.
Yeah, that album fucking sounds so good. I had Dan on last, when was that? August, I guess, when the Edge of Sanity stuff started to come out. I got to get him back on to talk to him a little bit.
Get me and him on, and we'll just talk for an hour and a half about Journey. That's all we'll do. We'll just talk about AOR.
Hey, well, we're talking about, we can go back real quick to influences when you wrap there, but Neil Schon, Jesus Christ, best melodic solo.
Number one or number 2 guitar player for you here?
Neil Schon's number 1.
He's my number one melodic guitar solo player.
Oh yeah,
my number one's Alex Lifeson because that's the dude.
Alex is in my top 10. But my trinity of guitar players, if I want to be honest, none of them are really metal, which is funny. But it's Neil Schon, David Gilmour, and Brian May of Queen. Oh, those are the biggest influences on me in terms of my ideas, the way I play, the way I approach stuff, especially from like a lead guitar stand. Not that I'm even a pimple on any of their asses. Believe me, I know I'm not. So folks at home, don't roast me. I know I don't.
Larry's too modest, man.
No. I know.
You're a great player.
I'm a realist. I'm a brutal realist. I know.
You do have to assess your own talents.
Absolutely. I know what I'm capable of and what I'm not capable of. And those guys, I will never, and then you've got guys like that I hold up that are probably 4 and 5, which would probably be Randy Rhoads, maybe Eddie Van Halen, Dave Murray, things like that. But in any case, Neil Schon, huge influence. There's Journey riffs hidden all throughout November's Doom albums.
Well, you could hear that lick on the dance is is it the dance? No. Yeah, the dance. That Celtic sounding riff is that has a very Neil Shawnee sort of vibe to it.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's yeah, I could sit down at some other time. We can chat off air and I can point out things to you. There's things where I'm like, yeah, that riff is from La Duda off of Infinity.
Oh my God, I love that track.
And that, yeah, I'll tell you later what song to listen to for that. And then there's other things.
Just the shit, that album right there.
Yeah. And so that's a big influence. And that's what I'm saying. Like people wouldn't automatically think that when they listen to November's Doom. Again, they're going to think like, oh, these guys probably like, Mike Ackerfeld and they like blah, blah, blah. I respect those players tremendously.
Oh, man.
I've known Mike casually for years and I respect him so much as a musician, but he's not an influence on my writing or my playing. You know?
I wouldn't go there either. What's the song on Evolution? Is it called Daydream? Fly,
Daydream. Oh, wow. Yeah.
My favorite Journey song. Dude, the fucking riff. Oh, man, that's.
Oh, there's so much. Even some of the later albums, there's some melodic things that I was thinking of when I wrote the guitar solo for Mercy. I mean, a lot of that is Gilmour, of course. But there was some things that Neil was playing in some live versions of Sender My Love off of Frontiers.
God, I love that track, man.
And there was just certain, I mean, I didn't cop any direct riffs from it. You know what I mean? You're not gonna hear any paraphrased riffs, but certain bends and certain phrasing and stuff, that's like what was in my head when I was writing the solo for Mercy. I was thinking of like, how did Neil approach that kind of playing, and especially as it retards at the end and stuff he was doing, like and that, yeah, especially like I said, in live versions of it, because I think when I was first coming up with that, I just seen them live, and so it was fresh.
I've never seen them, and I never saw them with Perry.
Oh, I did.
Thinking about going to see them in Hershey here. I live near Hershey, PA, in that
area,
PA, and man, the ticket. I've dropped so much money on big shows in 26. It's like,
yeah, I got my Rush ticket. I did get that at least.
I got 2 of them, and man, that was very.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
I'm not on the floor. In fact, for the first time ever watching Rush, I'm going to be in the second level. I've never done. I couldn't spend $1,000 on a fucking.
I love second level.
How are concerts that expensive now?
I know. That's crazy, man.
It's dumb. I mean.
And they're not going to go back because people are spending their money, so they're not going to reduce prices in the future.
Hell no, and that's the problem, man. I mean, I feel bad. I don't feel bad for getting Alex because they're walking away with millions, okay? But I feel bad in some respects because I know they struggle with that fact of like, but it's not them that's setting the prices. It's Live Nation and Ticketmaster. And
it's Live Nation and Ticketmaster
pricing bullshit thing where the more the demand is, the higher the prices go. It's like, that's fucking thievery to me.
It is. And there's so much to it. Again, we don't have time to get into it, but I know a lot about this. Unfortunately, there's so much to it. The cost of touring, it really
crazy.
Everything has just gotten so expensive, whether you're talking about how much it costs to rent the tractor trailers and the drivers, how much it costs to get the buses, how much it costs to pay the backline crew, how much it costs to pay the unions in each city when you because we're talking big shows. This isn't November's Doom rolling into Play Reggie's. It's the big things. The prices and the costs of everything. I know people automatically, we all do it. I do it too sometimes, but we all automatically go, oh, I'm pissed off at Getty and Alex, man. They're making so much money. I can tell you right now, I can tell you that the amount of money they're making that they're actually taking home from doing this compared to the amount of money that those guys were taking home when they did say like Clockwork Angels or one of those tours. I don't think that it's as massive as people are thinking. The artists are always even when you're on the big level, the artists are always the last people to get paid. It's all the other costs on top of it. And I really do believe that if there was a way for Getty and Alex to do this and do it cheaper, they probably would have.
Yeah.
Just knowing what I know about those guys, they've never been the kind of musicians to try to bleed the fans.
No, and I think they were, I think they were kind of shocked at when they left, the bot farms weren't a thing. Number one,
Right. Right.
The dynamic pricing thing wasn't a thing, and the world was in 2015. That was the last time I saw them.
Yeah. Same.
I bought a ticket the day of the show for $140, 12th row on the floor from a dude online. And I'm like, man, I'm going to take a chance. Met him at the show, just drove down and was like, if I get down there and he doesn't show, I'm fucked. You know what I mean?
Right.
But he showed, and man, I was in tears at the end, like literally in tears at the end of that, because I kind of knew that was probably it. And I wasn't even going to go, and thank God I did. But yeah, man, I got in line for the MSG tickets, got in the queue. I'm not joking when I tell you this. The queue opened up. I was 178,860.
I know. It was same thing. It was same thing that happened here. Same thing here in Chicago.
So I just waited. I just waited to see what would happen. And by the time 55 minutes went by, suddenly it was like boom, 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 because everybody just dropped off. And then I get there, and there's like the nosebleeds are like $500, $600 for like, you know, you might as well stay home. You might as well just watch it on YouTube.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then the floor seats are like $3,000. I'm like, what the fuck, man? No, even if money really was, I guess maybe if money wasn't an object, I would have said, fuck it, I'll get front row. But at the same point in time, I couldn't do it, man. No. Then they sold all those shows out right away, which blew their minds. Right. They added all the additionals, and they had. Now I didn't have to go to New York. I could go to Philly. I'm like, all right, I gotta make a real effort, and I did. I got a nice side view right on the stage, but $320. I'm like, God, I'm like, really, dude? Like,
I know.
But you know what? I'm gonna love every second of it because they're my favorite band of all time. And we'll wrap up here real quick. Let's do this. Let's hit this real quick again. Arcana is the newish album. It's out 3 months now. How you guys feeling about this? I didn't really let you answer that. Like, how you feeling about this? And do you guys, as artists, as the band, do you ever really have any real true idea how well an album is selling anymore these days? Like, is there any substantial thing that you get from Prophecy that says you sold X amount of X, and you know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they do have to go because they still have to account to us for things. So, you know, the problem is that really when it comes to sales, I'm not going to be one of these people that's going to say, "Oh, sales don't matter anymore." You know, some people say that, and it all matters, but I feel like it's really tough. I think the part that's hard is knowing just how many people hear the album.
Right.
Because we might get a sales figure from Prophecy that indicates that we sold so many thousand or something, and it's like, oh, okay. But then
if you look at like Spotify streaming numbers or something like that, that's
our Spotify streaming numbers this time around when we put the album out were phenomenal. It was awesome. It was like triple, quadruple what we normally would get.
And that's probably more an indicator of how many years it's reaching. The sad thing is that guys like Daniel Ek are fucking artists so hard.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to go on a rant either way. It's, you know, it is what it is at this point, and we've talked about it before. At this stage of the game, I am so happy when people buy the record. If you buy the vinyl, buy the CD, whatever, you buy it, that would digital. Nobody buys it on digitally anymore, really. But I mean, but I'm so grateful when they do it. But at the same time, I got to be honest. I'm grateful that, like I said earlier, I'm grateful that people bother. I'm grateful that people listen to us. If your thing is like, man, you know, I listen to it on Spotify and I've listened to it like 25 times already, man, I'm super grateful for that. Yes, if somebody said I bought the record, I dropped $30 on it or whatever, and I listened to it 25 times, that's excellent also. But right, I think we agree on that. I'm just happy people are listening to us.
Because we put a lot of work and time into doing this, and it'd be nice if people actually listened to it, you know, and told us that they liked it. So that's always a bonus, you know.
Well, that brings up an interesting question. We live in a day and age where Larry and Vito, you too as well. I mean, you're a younger pup than us, but not that much younger. No. But take us back, like if we take ourselves back Larry, you and I, to the 70s, where the number of bands, the amount of music coming at you was dramatically smaller, right?
Way.
Now, with obviously the benefits of having digital technology is it's a hell of a lot. You don't have to go into a giant expensive studio to record things. You know, your overhead for creating an album isn't what it once was. You don't have these $500,000 albums get made, that kind of shit, right? But at the same point in time, there's so much out there anymore. And we live in this world of instant gratification and instant, I got to make a judgment and I got to, you know, talk a little bit about that from your perspectives as artists and as consumers yourself. Like, how do you reflect on that? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
I think so. It's twofold. One, I think it's really cool that people can do this in just their basement and all of a sudden upload their music. Like if you're a kid just starting out and you have dreams of being a musician or putting out music, you can do that now incredibly easily.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. But on the flip side, now you've got 1,000 people that can do that tomorrow. And now you've got to sift through 1,000 songs to figure out what's good and what's not good. And most of them are not going to be good at all.
Right.
Well, and let me add on to that. So here's the thing. So for November's Doom, the truth of the matter is if we really, really wanted to, we could just probably record everything in the rehearsal room. We've got the means to do that now. We could technically go in and Gary could record the drums. We could just spend the time to just do everything like that. But in order to make albums sound the way we do, I think that it's so important to have those, everything from being in a studio and the kind of vibe it creates when we're there. It feels different when I'm recording my guitars, when I'm up at the studio and we have the lights down and it's got those certain acoustics and the whole vibe of it. I work differently and I play differently than I do when we're cutting our demos in the room. And same, I think everybody in the band feels that way. And what we get from Chris when he's engineering us and what he's able to do with it and using his skills and what we get from Dan Swano with what he does, like that all contributes to the reason why, forgive me, but you know, for saying this, if it sounds like I'm being, you know, self-aggrandizing, but it's all contributing to the reason why Major Arcana sounds kick-ass. It's why it sounds like that. Now, could we have done that on a zero budget, recording it in a rehearsal room? Yeah, technically, possibly, but I think there's still things that are going to be lost there. And I've noticed that even in some of the artists that I've listened to even friends, and they're like, what do you think of this? We recorded it all in our basement and it sounds cool, but it's like, sometimes it's really important to have that producer there, to have that engineer there, to have the guy that's mixing it, and you're not just using some mixing program that you bought in a box for $249 or whatever. Right. Like, it's important to have that because there are some very crucial elements that get added or changed or subtracted or whatever through the whole process. And that's why, I mean, to make an album like Major Arcana, no, it's not costing what bands like Zeppelin and Metallica were paying, and probably still would pay, you know, being in these big studios, big name producers, hundreds of thousands of dollars. But we had that. No, but we're still spending a lot of money. There's still a lot of money. I won't quote numbers, you know, because it's private, but we're still spending a lot of money to make the albums that we make. And I think it shows. It may be hard for the average person to know because if you don't have it to compare it against what it would sound like if we didn't do that, right? There is a reason why I do think engineers are still very important. I do think producers are important. I do think guys like Swano and James Murphy and these guys we know that have the ears and the experience that are stepping in and doing mixing and mastering and all this other stuff. It still makes a difference, folks. So
they're masters of craft. I mean, this is you know, it may not be Alan Parsons shit from the 70s where you're running 2-inch around, but at the same point in time, these are guys that have worked on their craft for many years in the trenches as musicians themselves, often like Dan, obviously, you know, Was Chris in the band?
He was for a little while. Yeah,
Yeah,
he was kind of like our. I mean, he was in the
player, but he also played on a couple as well.
And but he started out. He was our engineer, and because he was going out on tour with us as our sound engineer as well.
Okay,
he was engineering us in the studio as well as doing live sound. And then when we found that we were without a bass player again, because bass players in this band are like Spinal Tap drummers, they just come and go. And luckily we've been avoiding that for a long time now. But Chris was actually in the band, and it just made sense because he was already a part of us, even though he wasn't a playing member yet. It's kind of like Periphery, with Nolly and stuff like that,
Right,
Nolly, he's always a part of the band, but he doesn't always play with them, you know what I mean? And he it's kind of the same thing with Chris. But Chris and Dan, all these guys, they bring out stuff in us. I know that I can say honestly, Paul's performance wouldn't be the same if it wasn't for Chris being there helping him achieve what he did. It wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't sound the same if it wasn't for Dan's input and the way he mixed it and suggestions he made about layering and different stuff.
Right.
Same goes for my guitar playing. I know that, there are things that they pushed me and were like, you can do that better. You can come up, there, and it gets very frustrating, but man, it was so important. Like I think about things that certain stuff I did on this album. You were there. You remember there was times when Chris was just like, I know you're happy with that. I think you could do it better. And he would give me suggestions and I'd go bang my head against the wall and be like, what the fuck? But then I'd walk away and I'd think about it and I come back and I'm like, no, he's right. And I'd try something else. And
then you nail it and you'd be like, shit,
Eureka. Right. Yeah, Eureka. And I'm so grateful to have that. And if I was just recording these solos on my laptop in my bedroom, I wouldn't have that.
Well, okay, speaking of your solos there, I did want to ask you real fast. Yes. Are you guys are the solos generally on this album, are they canned things that you sat and worked out? Are many of them improvised? Are they combos? Are they comped? I mean, all of the above?
Both. Like certain solos, like the solo in Mercy that I talked about earlier, I worked really hard on that. I really wanted to say something with that. I knew I had to create a melody and a hook that was trying to be on par with the strong hooks that Paul came up with.
Right on.
Because he can't come up with those strong melodies that he sings like in that song and in the chorus. I couldn't just pull off some typical doomy bullshit pentatonic whatever solo that I could have improvised and been like, oh, this is fine. Yeah. But I was like, no, I want to take it to the next level. And I think I did. I hope I did. It's
probably the best solo on the album, I think.
Maybe.
It's fucking killer, man. Yeah. They're all really good.
Right at the end there, like that always gets me, dude.
That's a hard bend to do because it's real low on those baritone strings. But then there's other stuff I did. There's solos like I'm trying to think what's a good example. The solo I did in The Fool. And that I just I had a real loose outline in my head of what I wanted to do. And I just sort of went for it. I was like, let me have a couple passes. And it's just this, it's just a combination of pentatonic with some like harmonic minor thrown in there. But that wasn't
no offense here, but my favorite fucking moment on this album is not a guitar solo. It's not even a guitar chord.
Okay.
It's Paul going, wretch.
Oh, the wretch.
Every fucking time he goes, wretch, I'm like, oh yeah, that's fucking disgusting.
That's in The Fool, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
doing it right.
Yeah, and I mean, and Paul people might not think about it, but Paul puts a lot of work into that. There was stuff that I don't know if he told you this when you talked to him, but there was stuff that he, even once the album was already getting into the mixing phase, there were certain things Paul did vocally, especially with some of his more brutal shit like that, like the really brutal, nasty stuff.
Yeah.
And he went back and he was listening to the early mixes and he was like, it's not there. It's not there. It sounds phoned into me. It's not digging into my fucking guts, really meaning it. Yeah. So he went back and he recut some of those things like that. And it showed, if you could compare the two, you'd be like, oh yeah, he nailed it on the second time. Yeah.
I mean, Paul has that throaty thing.
Right.
Kind of like Michael Ockerfeldt had back in the day. I don't think he has it quite that way anymore. He's back more to where he was, but back in the day, Michael was almost untouchable on the metal vocals. but the way he digs in and just throatily rips that, it just sounds like he's fucking.
And he did, yeah.
Esophagus, you know.
And that's what he was going for, you know, like he wanted to do some things like that. There were certain things where he pulled it off and it would have been, like you said earlier, like to the lay person listener, it would have been fine. But there were certain things that he was just like, no, this needs to be more genuine. Like it needs to just sound horribly evil and pained, and you know, so he pushed himself. He really pushed himself on this album a lot. Pushed himself a lot of, he's still getting comfortable with it. I mean, I'll be perfectly honest with you, he's still getting, we've only done what, 2 shows?
Yeah,
2 shows since the album came out, and he's doing these new songs, and some of it is he's nailing, and some of it he's still finding his feet with it. He's still,
some of the Reggie stuff. Was that last month?
Yeah, that was in September, end of September.
Like a week.
Oh wait, what was the one you just recently?
Oh, that was the one in Livewire. Yeah, that was the one from like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever. And yeah, he's still, you know, he was also sick as a fucking dog. It's always the worst. He was so sick when we were doing that, and yeah, he was worried because we did a sound check and we did a couple songs, and he sounded great, but he was like, "Man, I know this is only gonna, you know, my throat's gonna last so long." And yeah, he got a few songs into that set, and he's kind of giving me a look like, fuck, man, you know. And I'm like, hey man, just do what you do the best you can.
Well, I told him that it's stunning that, you know, when he had the weight issue many years back, that, you know, when he got skinny like that, I was like, there ain't no way he's gonna be able to pull that shit off. Like he can't get those sounds, and yet I think he actually sounds better because he's not carrying all the heaviness and whatnot.
It's not as much of a strain physically on him in that regard. Because I think it's more of a technique. People think it's, you know, you don't have to be a big guy to put that in there. It's more of like a technique, and he's just mastered his technique, you know. But it takes a lot out of you, and if you're sick, you know, like he was so fucking sick. He was like, he'd been sick all week, and we knew it was going to be a struggle, but I think he still pulled it off admirably, you know, overall. But it's tough. Like I can go on stage, I can feel like dog shit, have a 103-degree fever, but I could still play my guitar. I may be a little woozy and out there, but I can still play. But when you're the singer, and especially when you're singing November's Tomb, it's tough. Like, and that is impaired. Holy shit, that's the worst. So yeah, I always feel bad for him when he has to do that when he's sick like that. But anyway, getting back to the point, we're you know, we're very happy with this album. I think I agree with you. I think this is the album that I've wanted to make for years. I literally just talked to Paul earlier today, and I was telling him, I was like, man, I'm so eager to do as much as we can with this album in terms of getting out there and playing and even talking to people like you. Like, I want so badly to push this album as much as we are capable of doing with limitations anymore, because we're in our 50s and late 40s and so on.
Early 40s.
You ain't that early 40 there, sir. You're yeah. But anyway, but I'm so eager to push it. I mean, I always am when we do an album, but this album, it's so rare that it's been over a year since we completed making this album. And normally by now I'm like, I don't want to hear that fucking album ever again.
Right.
And I'm so tired of it. And there's songs on there I don't like so much anymore, and I'm unhappy. Right. And I sit down and I rehearse at home. I just did 2 days ago. I sat down and I just put on the guitar and the headphones. I'm like, I'm just going to play through the whole album and rehearse on my own. Yeah, it's good to do, man, you know, and it keeps me
fresh. You guys play every day typically, or
no? No, okay. I should.
Larry plays more than I do because he has all the cover bands and stuff he does.
Yeah, right.
I don't think I touched my guitar since the last time we rehearsed.
Are you serious?
Yeah, really? No kidding.
Wow. Yeah, you gotta get cracking, man.
I do sit down every day and play.
You should.
15 minutes to an hour. Just I've been working a lot on finger style technique and getting much, you know, like really what I feel is pretty fucking good at it. And in fact, I'm doing a lot of the George Lynch stuff, you know, where I'm not really using a pick nearly as much, even playing electric. I'm trying to get the Richie Kotzen thumb finger yank, pull shit. And
hybrid picking is so tough, man.
I can't hybrid pick. When I'm saying I'm finger picking.
Oh, straight up finger picking.
Yeah,
okay,
like
okay. So
Kotzen or something like that.
yeah, okay, I get it.
Hybrid picking, man, I cannot fucking figure
hard.
it out. And I'm
I
not a
can do it a little
sweeper
bit.
either. I got this fucking weird finger injury from soccer, and so I can't really sweep. I can do triad sweeps and maybe four string type sweeps.
Yeah.
But I can't play lay it down anymore, dude.
Oh, sure.
I can't get that
stretch, man.
over there. Yeah,
it's funny. I can sweep. I could sweep pretty good. I was always like Mr. Sweep guy, especially back in the 90s.
But you don't play a lot of sweeps.
I don't. Yeah. I kind of purposely avoid a lot of those things. Like I can sweep and I can do not a lot, but I can do two-hand tapping stuff. And I've thrown little hints of that over the years here and there. But my attitude is always like, I've had people come to say to me, and they're like, "Oh man, how come you don't do more of this and that?" And when you solo, and I'm like, because I don't think it belongs there.
There you go.
Just because I can do it, it doesn't mean it belongs there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Ingve. We're talking to you,
hey,
Ingve.
Well,
yeah, man, but that harmonic minor, bro. We can't
and I love Ingve. So those first 3 Ingve albums are untouchable to me. But but the point is that it's like, I always, even guys, I love guys like Jeff Loomis, because if you go and listen to a song like Believe in Nothing, right? Off of
he's like one of the most well-rounded metal guitar players.
Dude, he can do it.
But you listen to him play on a song like Believe in Nothing off of Dead Heart and everything, and he could have thrown the kitchen sink in there, because we know he can do it half asleep standing on his head, but he didn't. He kept it simple and melodic, and he stuck to a lot of like the melodies that Worrell did, and he threw just a little bit of flourishes in there. Yep. And I'm like, that's how you do it. That's tasteful.
What's your favorite Nevermore album?
Oh Lord,
other than all of them.
Yeah,
I mean, Dead Heart is really I mean, that solidified me as like a huge Nevermore fan. Like I had Dreaming Neon Black before that, but
that's what I was. Those two,
man, dude, that album, Dreaming Neon Black, just wrecked me. Tim Calvert on there.
Tim, rest in peace, man. That guy, what a great guitar player. I met him a few times back in the day, and stuff.
Dark. He had a really cool. He had an exotic sounding.
Yeah.
He played in the minor a lot, but he just played very mystical. It was very mystical. Yes. I promise I'm getting you out of here in 2 more quick seconds. Do you guys know Frank Marino at all?
Oh, Mahogany Rush.
Okay.
Oh man.
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like you talk, I'll talk. He doesn't know Frank Marino. I know Frank.
He's my boy. Frank's a friend of mine. I love that man.
Oh, I've never met him. Never met him.
On 3 times. If I ever get up to Montreal, he's like, you got to come get me. We got to go out and have coffee. And man, to me, Frank was, along with maybe Gary Moore, probably is the other guy. Those are the 2 OG shredders of the 70s. Nobody was touching pentatonic. Like Zakk Wylde stole every fucking riff he ever stole.
Hey, and you know what? Zach admits it.
Oh yeah,
he is a total Frank Marino fanboy. I
love Frank, and we were talking about like if you had to do the Rushmore, and you gave us yours, Larry, pretty much.
Yeah.
I believe you gave me 3.
Yeah,
you gave me the guys from Seven Dust, and
I mean James Hetfield, just because he got me started. Jeff Loomis is up there, man. Jeff Loomis is
Petrucci.
Up there, Petrucci.
But I gotta go Lifeson,
guys, but they're up there for me,
I gotta go Lifeson. I gotta go Frank. It's an all Canadian deal almost here. I gotta go Rick Emmett, man. I love Rick. I'm so excited to see he's back out there doing this. And man, I think I gotta go Jerry Cantrell, man.
Oh,
I just love Jerry's riff style. Man, the song, and this will tie it up here.
Yeah,
the song "Chatter."
Yeah,
has a very Alice in Chainsy vibe to me.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Vito's looking at you going, what the fuck's he talking about?
Oh, no. He's looking at me because he's calling you out, sir, because
there's plenty of Alice in Chains.
There's a lot of Alice in Chains in our music. Again, we try, sometimes it's way more obvious than others, but Paul loves Alice in Chains. That's when we've, November's Doom live only a couple times when we did. Was it one of the last European tours we did? Wasn't it?
Yep.
We actually pulled out as kind of like an encore thing. We did Angry Chair.
No way.
Yeah, and
Like
Paul and I harmonized through the whole thing together vocally. Like, yeah,
we do it in our tuning, so some of the chords are like super low.
Yeah, we go like extra heavy on certain
I
things.
gotta hear that shit. I hope there's
It's the same key and everything, but some chords are just
Right.
We lower, yeah, we layer it. Yeah, no, man, it's funny. I just gonna throw this in real quick because you said it, and I love any opportunity to say it. People debate about America versus Europe, or Britain versus America versus Germany. Canada has some of the all-time greatest, most unique, most talented, fantastic bands. Some of my favorite,
obviously Piggy,
of course, Voivod, like I said, but there's just tons of Sacrifice and Oblivion. And even my friend, the girls in Kitty, I love them. They're good friends of mine, and I think what they're doing is great. It's amazing how much, Rush and so many, even more on the rock stuff. I mean, guys like Ian Thornley. Oh my God,
Ian Thornley is
my God.
That dude is so sick, man. He is insanely good.
Yeah, you have to remember I played you
That's
Big
right.
Rack.
Yeah.
Dude,
that's great.
Then you got all the industrial stuff like Frontline Assembly.
And then you've got all that. That's what I'm saying.
And shit like that. Yeah, man.
Canada, I don't know what it is up in that water up there, but Canada just creates some of the most unique and incredible musicians. They're just, I could just wax on about
hours. We could be here for 10 hours.
Yeah. So if you ever want to do an episode talking just about like Canadian bands and influences, man.
Well, you know what? I think I might have to get you and Mr. Holm and me on a show where we talk about stuff like that. Because and Vito, you'd be very welcome as well too.
He's the big Rush fan, man. He's
Well, there you go, my friend. Have you seen them more than 25 times though?
No, I've only seen them, I think, just once.
Are you gonna go? Are you gonna go see him?
No, I'm not.
Nah.
He's broke.
Yeah, I'm broke, man.
You're a rock star. Come on, Vito.
Yeah, you think that means something, man. I saw him on the Snakes and Arrows tour, which is thousands.
I met him on the Snakes and Arrows.
Did you?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I met Getty and Alex because you guys familiar with Porcupine Tree?
Oh yeah, of course.
Steve Wilson, right? Steve and I go way back. I used to do shit for the band back in
nice
the 90s.
Love that
and, in fact, I just hung out with him in October when he came through.
Nice.
First time I'd seen him in many, many years. But their manager got me backstage to meet Getty and Alex. And I got to tell you, man, I met a lot of rock star dudes, and I don't get too nervous anymore.
Right.
I was fucking about shit in my pants. I was like,
those guys are like on a different level, man. I mean,
but they're the nicest, most chill fucking Canadian dudes ever. I walked up to Alex and I'm like, I'm not worthy. And I'm like, doing the whole Wayne's World thing. And he starts cracking up. And I'm talking to him and I suddenly realize, we're getting a picture. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I didn't even say anything to Getty because they moved you through pretty quick. Yeah, like 3 minutes, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, hey, Getty, how's it going, man? It was just like one of those weird moments where I was like, you just fucking squandered all that time.
That's okay.
Jerking off Alex when you could have been talking to Getty too.
Both of them off at the same time, man. You gotta
be double fisted.
You got double fisted, bro.
Double fisted, damn it. Man.
No, you know what? I
wasn't thinking about the double. I wasn't thinking about that.
I've had so many. I've had so
emotion.
Yeah. Oh boy. All right. I'm going to bring this back on the rails here. I've had a lot of opportunities to meet a lot of famous rock star people over the years, through various parts of the business and stuff. And I can tell you honestly, most of the time I try to avoid it because I don't
want to blow the image.
Right? Yeah. I've had bad experiences and I've heard about too many bad experiences, and there's bands that I've worshiped my whole life. And I'm like, no. I've had opportunities. Hey, you want to go meet? And I'm like, no, I'm good. I don't need to meet people. It's fine. But I've had some great experiences, and it's interesting that a lot of the great ones I've had have been the guys who were the most legendary.
Yes.
Yeah. I met Rob Halford a couple times. He was a fucking wonderful man, gentleman, and he knew who November's Doom was. I was like,
oh shit.
Yeah, because I met him the one time and he was like, He was like, oh, the first time I met him, he was like, oh, you're obviously in a band, I would guess. And I was like, yeah, I am. And he's like, oh, well, what's the name of your band? I'm like, oh, I'm in this Doom, and we're called November's Doom. And he's like, oh yeah, November's Doom. He's like, oh, you guys, yeah, you're kind of in that Opethy style, blah, 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 this and that. And I was like,
you're like, damn it, he said Opeth. Rob, don't call me Opeth.
He's the only guy. I was like,
I'll allow this.
I was like, you can
say whatever you want, sir.
And no, and I get it. I mean, again, it's a compliment as long as you're not accusing me of stealing from them. But anyway, and then he started talking to me about Dimmu and what did I think of Nine Equilibrium and stuff, you know, and he was like talking to me about black metal and all this stuff. We talked for like maybe 5-10 minutes, and that's just crazy. A wonderful guy. And I had the same thing happen later when we played in Europe and we opened for Priest at one of the festivals. This was when KK was still in the band before Richie, and KK was, we ended up literally almost bumping into each other, and we talked for like 5 minutes, and just another gentleman. And I sat down, and another time I sat down and I had, ate in catering, had with the guys in Testament and Saxon, and
they're all cool.
It's just interesting when I meet like those kind of guys, and they're so cool and chill. And then I've met other guys that are in bands that are maybe like a little bit closer in to where we are, bands I would say we're more like our peers, and they act like, we won't get into, we know those stories, we're not going to get into that here, but we've had bad incidents with them. And I'm thinking to myself, man, you guys, we may not be shit, but neither are you, compared to when I meet the guys in Iron Maiden and Priest and stuff and Saxon, and they're like as cool as can be. It's like, what the hell is your excuse, man?
Yeah.
Like,
I'll tell you a funny one, only real quick, because I had a dichotomous meeting with one Mr. Lynch.
Okay.
Twice. First time I met him, Lynch Mob was out with Doogie White singing for them.
Oh, so Doogie was singing for them, yeah.
After Robert Mason.
Yeah.
It would have probably been the third or fourth album. Well, it would have been, it was whatever. They were opening for Yngwie, and this was when Yngwie was super fat.
Right.
Yngwie was like really bloated and not well.
Right.
And I guess Yngwie was just not treating the Lynch Mob guys very good. After the show, George came out and hung out. I went up to get a picture. A couple people got autographs. I got a picture, like an old, like a Polaroid type thing. And this would have been Crocodile Ross. You ever hear that in Allentown, Pennsylvania? You never played there, did you?
I've heard of it. I've never been there.
Okay.
Yeah.
This
I know
been
Pennsylvania. So
I don't even know what year this was, man. Late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, if it was with Doogie, that had to be at least late 90s. Yeah.
Maybe 2000, 2001.
Okay.
98. I don't remember. Anyways, he was fucking cool as shit.
Yeah.
He sat there with me. We drank a beer. 45 minutes. We just made fun of Yngwie the whole time. Because George is like that. That's
oh yeah.
This is very irreverent. He doesn't give a shit, man.
I don't know him. I don't pretend to know him. I've met him a couple of times over the years, because when he was still working with Seymour Duncan as an artist and everything, he'd be there at like the trade shows and stuff.
He's a smart ass.
He's funny.
But he's sarcastic and funny.
Yes, and he's him, man. He's got a certain kind of humor and approach. But absolutely.
He did an in-store in 2013, and I went down, and it was a question. He was playing the tracks, and I asked him a question. This was when all the bullshit with Dokken was kind of exploding. Like, Don was talking a lot of shit, and they were talking a lot of shit in the press about each other. And it was before the Eddie Trunk thing, and then they got back together. And when he was signing at the end, these guys in front of me, he had just started Mr. Scary Guitars.
Mm-hmm.
So he was just starting to build guitars. And these guys in front of me, there's three dudes, and they're talking to him, and they're buttering him up, man. They're stroking him hard about buying a guitar. And I'm like looking at these guys going, they ain't fucking buying one of those $10,000 guitars, right?
Yeah.
And then they ask for a picture, and he says, yeah. And they say, hey, man, would you take a picture? Hand me their phone. I take a picture. They go. I know good friends of Danica, his wife, out in L.A. I'm like, hey, George, do you know Gene Kirkland and Ann Kirkland? Oh, yeah. I said, hey, man, he signed my shit. And I said, hey, can I get a quick shot with you real quick? And he's like, no, man, if I do it for you, I got to do it for everybody in the line. I'm like, but I just took, really? Like, for real, dude?
Yeah.
So I've been trying to get him on, and I ran into Lynch Mob's bass player, Jaron, the tall dude. I don't know if you ever seen him.
I've seen him, yeah.
He was at the Death Angel show. And I'm like, where the fuck's George at? And he's like, he's out in Arizona or New Mexico. Because that kid lives in Downingtown, near where I live.
Right.
I said, tell him to get on my show because I got to give him shit for not taking a picture with me at his in-store. And I'll do that. I'll say, George, do you remember when he was?
You should. Why not? You know?
But it's funny. He was super cool the one time and a little touchy the second time. So
well, you know, it's funny because just real quick, and the last thing I'll say about this is that, like with the Yngwie thing, you remember that time we were at Grass Pop?
I know it had to been Grass Pop.
I think it was, we were at Grass Pop and Yngwie was playing as well. Yeah. And we were backstage and we had to go in and like we had just got bussed in and they were like, okay, we got to take you into the office, give you your passes and your food tickets and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
We're like, okay. So we went walking in there and they were in the middle of dealing with another artist. And the guy that was bringing us in, like, didn't realize that. Like, it felt bad that like he was barging in, and of all the artists it was Yngwie that we barged in on.
Oh God.
And so my initial thing was, I was like, oh no, like this is going to be bad. But so they finished, they were like, oh, sorry guys, just one more minute or whatever. And they finished their business, Yngwie getting all his, whatever his credentials he needed. And then he turned around, he walked up to us and he was like, hey guys, what's going on? How you doing?
Oh,
you know,
right. So totally.
we were like, hey Yngwie. And he was just like, he's like, oh yeah, you know, so you're playing today? No, we're playing tomorrow. And he's like, oh, all right, have a great show, man. Blah, blah, blah. And he walked out. I mean, it was real brief.
Yeah.
Like, no rock star, you know, we thought like, oh, he's gonna unleash the fury on us because we interrupted. We shouldn't be in the office with him. He was like nice as pie, very, you know, so you never know, you know, because they're human beings and they're flawed human beings.
Sure,
so you never know. You might get a good Yngwie or you might unleash the fury. You don't know which one you're gonna get.
I'm getting you out of here, guys.
Yeah.
Major Arcana out on Prophecy Productions.
Yep.
Also, in June, you guys reissued, you'll have to tell me who it is because I forget, the vinyl 20th anniversary edition.
A Pale Hunt. Yeah, we did both of them through Prophecy.
It is Prophecy. Okay.
Yes.
They're getting hard to find. I'm struggling to find a copy. I got to dig around for one. So, dudes, I hope you enjoyed this. I didn't do too bad on the coughing. I'm a little surprised. I
know. I was real worried when you were saying how bad you felt. I was like,
oh, I died 3 hours ago. So, but man, it's great fucking connecting, and I'm hoping to connect with you down at MDF.
Yes, that would be awesome.
And, we'll get you out and we'll go record shopping or something like that.
Yeah, that could be fun, man.
And hopefully you guys can throw some other dates in around there. That'd be pretty cool.
Like I said, we're trying, man.
We're
that's the plan. Yeah. It's like, I already talked about the logistics of it. So it's not that we don't want to, it's just a matter of making it work for everybody involved and for you guys, you know, so it makes sense. Cause we don't want to do it at the same weekend. There's some other great fest or something going on either, you know? So
yeah, there's my buddy Tim. That a great interview. Jeff, Vito, and Larry were very open and informative.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Thank you. Thanks.
Hey, thanks for being here, everybody that was here. Go. The links are in the description about how you can get all the goods and contact these, or get in touch with these. Not get in touch with, but
you can get it. You know what? Look us up on the socials, man. We're not one of those.
Your Instagrams, both your Instagrams.
Yeah, and reach out to us on the socials. We love meeting people. We love talking to people. I mean, as long as you're cool, it's like we're just people, man.
Man.
We've made a lot of great friends. That's one of the best things about doing what we've been doing is some of the amazing people and the friends and meeting people like you, man, and it's like, I look forward to talking to you again, even if we're just bullshitting.
Yeah. We're definitely going to do something. We're going to get John Halm on here.
That'll be fun.
We're going to dig into some Canadian bands. I'm going to end now, guys, and just hang around 1 sec. Okay.
All right, cool.
All righty.
Everybody, Saturday night. 10:30 p.m. Myself and Dennis OG Press from Analog Archives. We're doing the Y&T yesterday and today catalog. Love that fucking band.
I'm a huge Dave Medicaid fan.
Are you?
Oh yeah.
Well, I'll talk to you about it.
We'll talk later.
On Sunday, myself, Kellen. Hang on, guys. I'm just doing a promo here.
Yeah.
Jimmy from Future Ruins, Kellen from Killing for Technology, And Peter from the Metal Vault, we're going to be talking about the new Blut aus Nord Ethereal Horizons. It's a fucking badass album. So thanks everybody for being here. Larry and Vito, hang on 1 second.
Yeah.